Now is there sound? Oh, wow. Wow. How many people are watching? I was like, dude, that was 6 minutes. You know what? I've done that before. That was 6 minutes of me. Well, you know what? We get to start again. Cool. We gonna start again. We gonna start. All right, yo, give me a second. I'm so sorry. I promise you guys, I did not mean to do that. I feel like an idiot. It's actually not that funny. Did the audio go out again? That would have been funny. I'm so sorry about that. Jesus. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Damn. So, what I was saying. Oh, man, I'm so sorry, guys. Damn, I feel like a dummy, dude. I'm sorry. Is there a sound now? Can you guys hear me now? I see smileys in the chat now, so I think... Alright, all good. Okay. I'm sorry. Really sorry about that. 6 minutes. That was like 6.5 minutes, or almost 7 minutes before I did that, so... I'll timestamp it. All right, so yeah, let's get started. Cool. All right, I didn't mention this, but now that we're redoing it, right, I can go ahead and say it. This is a T-shirt that I'm selling. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. My girlfriend is a nurse manager, and she financially takes care of us. We struggle, right? But any YouTube revenue that I make, any odd side jobs that I'm doing, landscaping or anything, goes to my pocket, and then also, helping out with the bills and stuff. T-shirts, that's profit for me. I'm getting married, and I'm being just completely honest with you guys, because like last year I was saying, or last season I was like, hey guys, do a go. I don't know what I did, but I was like, I have trouble paying my bill. So look, you'll get something, right? If you buy this T-shirt, it helps me out. It is a significant T-shirt. It's not just a random T-shirt with dragons and bricks on it, right? So, in the books, you guys want to hear about House of the Dragon. I know, but I got to do this. 6 minutes, no audio, and then I start with a fucking self-promotion. All right. Anyway, check this out. It's linked down below in the description. It'd be really cool if you did, because I want to take my family on a vacation. And this YouTube ad revenue will help, too, from you guys watching this. So if you can't, thank you for watching. Anyway, what I was saying. Episode 3, House of the Dragon Season 2. On a scale from 1 to 10, it's kind of an easy way to grade something, because it's like, 10 is the highest, 1 is the lowest. Just flat out. I got 5 things I want to talk about, then I'm going to jump in the chat. Initially, what I had did was start talking about the second thing, which was Rhaenyra and Alicent. That was what my whole rant was about for the first 6 minutes where I was silent. So I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to talk about Daemon first, but I give it like a 7 out of 10, right? The main reason being is because the episode was kind of slow, so that deducted a few points because like the pacing was slower, but it also still didn't take away too much from my score of the episode as a whole, because I like the idea of getting to know these characters more, right? One of the big things that a lot of the negative draw, or I guess negative chatter, I was gonna say negative drawback, but that didn't really make sense. A lot of the negative chatter that I see in my comment section and on social media, is that they feel like the characters are dead, right? There's no wit. Compared to someone like Cersei or Tyrion, you would have Alicent, and then maybe someone like Daemon, right? I know Daemon's obviously not a midget, right? But Daemon is of the level. Early on, he was very jokative. Remember when he was a part of the King's Small Council? He's kind of yanking everybody's balls left and right. He's pulling everybody's chain left and right. He's kind of like the jokester. So you could have like the level of wit and IQ for sure. Tyrion is supposed to be like Daemon is supposed to kind of be like Tyrion in that, right? Early on. And then also Alicent, like adult version, would be like Cersei. And like the problem that I think a lot of people were saying negative about season 1 is like the dialogue between the main characters when they would have these scenes that would last a few minutes, it just doesn't seem there, right? And the main reason for that is obviously because the TV show, Game of Thrones, right, is translating direct dialogue of actual scenes from two characters that have POVs, like if we're talking about Tyrion and Cersei, right? The reason why Tyrion and Cersei scenes are so good is because there's scenes in A Clash of Kings from Tyrion's POV because we haven't had Cersei's POV yet. We don't get Cersei's first POV until, so like her first point of view chapter, until A Feast for Crows. So we're getting Cersei from all these other people that are interacting with her. Mainly in the first book, it's Ned Stark, right? So we're seeing how she acts through the eyes of Ned. And Ned is a good dude, but he's also extremely judgmental. He's kind of stupid because he expects everyone to be super honorable and loyal and not play the game of Thrones that he very much knew was happening in King's Landing. That's why he didn't want to go down there in the first place. Like, he refused to play all the way up to the point where he is risking his kids' lives. Like, his daughters are in the capital with him, and he still won't play the game. Like, Varys has one last meeting with him. He goes and meets Cersei one last time, and he, like, still refuses to play the game. Littlefinger's like, look, don't trust nobody. But Ned is so dang dumb that he just refuses to play the game. And I went on this tangent too long to remember what I was talking about. Oh, yeah, the dialogue, right, was a big complaint because people were saying that the characters don't seem as, like, lively or as, like, well-rounded as the main cast of characters. And I started talking about the Ned thing because I was talking about Cersei's POV. So, like, you get... I was talking about Tyrion's POV through Cersei, and then you get Cersei through Ned. But it's way easier for Dan and Dave to be like, dude, let's take this conversation word for word between Tyrion and Cersei, and let's adapt it to television. Let's use some of their dialogue, but let's do that, right? Whereas with Fire and Blood, it's literally like some dude, and I get tired of saying this. I get so tired of saying this. I repeat myself so much. You know what I should do is take my shirt off. I should take my shirt off and show you guys my muscles. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so like when you're reading Fire and Blood, it'll be like, oh, Daemon did this, and Daemon interacted with this person this way because this person said that Daemon did that, right? Like, it's very hearsay, but that does not by any means mean, that doesn't mean that what is written in that book is not canon for the TV show or shouldn't be canon for the TV show. That's just stupid. George just wrote it that way because he wanted to do something different. He kind of already had done that with the World of Ice and Fire, except for World of Ice and Fire isn't necessarily written from 3 different maesters, but it's written very similar as a history book for Joffrey, who's going to become king, right? World of Ice and Fire is written from the point of view of a maester who, like, got all of this information, compiled it together, and, like, is still writing down things from... Is it for Joffrey? It's written, like, during the reign of Robert, right? So the maester who's writing it is still collecting the information, but telling this long story of the history of the world of Ice and Fire. It's called Planetos, right? So George that's his style of writing for when he does history books. It's the complete opposite from when he does his main books, the main series of books, because everything's in a POV. You know exactly what the character's thinking. You know what their inner workings and their motivations are. And it's fascinating when you're reading it because, like I was mentioning before with Cersei, is like you get Cersei interactions from several different POV characters, Ned, Tyrion, Jaime, even before she even has her first POV chapter in A Feast for Crows. So it's cool that you get to decide if you like this character or not before you actually read their, like, get in their body, right? Like, you get in their own head, and then you can actually decide. That's what happened to me. Is like, I didn't like Cersei that much on the TV show, but also, like, I liked the actress Lena Headey, so I was like, Cersei is one of my favorite characters because the show did a good job portraying her. But also, in the books, it's totally different because she's much more... It's just, the books are better. I don't know what to tell you. Like, the books are better, but, like, it's crazy because I actually love Cersei. She's like one of my favorite POVs to read. She's so crazy. It is entertaining. It's nothing but entertainment to read her crazy thoughts. And I also find myself sometimes being like, you know what? Maybe I'd think that way too. Maybe I'd do the things the way that she does. But yeah, let me get back on track. Sorry, I was reading something in the chat and I started to get sidetracked. Let's talk about House of the Dragon. You know, we're talking about Game of Thrones, talking about Song of Ice and Fire. But I enjoyed this episode because the dialogue, the scene specifically between Rhaenyra and Alicent, I didn't dislike it that much because it was I don't want to say it was well written because that would be too far. It's like it didn't happen at all. Nothing even close to that happened in the book, so I don't want to say it was well written. But I say it was like a safe change from canon. And it's okay because I feel like the implications of it down the line will mean so much more. And also, remember there's that shot of Alicent in a grassy field and she like looks up at the sky or something. She's like distraught. So I wonder what's going to happen with that. I wonder if she doesn't, you know, like in canon, when Rhaenyra takes the city, Alicent's there and then Rhaenyra just throws her in chains, right? And there's several times where Alicent does come forth and have counsel with Rhaenyra, where she like tells her, yo, it's not too late. It's never too late. You're gonna get withdrawn and just stay alone. It's not too late. It's never too late. But yeah, y'all know that song. I really gotta stop doing that because it makes me not make as good of points when I want to make my points. But yeah, there's several times where Rhaenyra and Alicent do have counsel once the war's already broken out. So, no, there is not a moment like Rhaenyra when she's on Dragonstone at this time in the war, before the Battle of the Gullet, before she's lost Jacaerys, who's her heir, right? She's got several heirs down the line, but her main heir is Jacaerys. So before she loses him, there's like still a turning back point for Rhaenyra, where it's not too late for her to like kind of do what her lords were advising her to do, which was kind of like tuck herself away and let the people whose death doesn't matter as much go die. I know she took that as a sly, where she's like, you guys want to commit treason and run my council for me? I would have stepped up and be like, no, it's the exact opposite. We're stupid, and we can die. Our deaths mean nothing. But if you die, this is a lost cause, right? This whole thing has been for nothing. It's very similar to what Tyrion says to Fagon. Everybody calls him Fagon, but it's Aegon. I'm sorry, I got to do it. It's another tangent. Rhaegar's son, right, was supposedly killed when Tywin took the city, but Varys snuck him away, right? It's crazy, the parallels, because on this TV show, when Aegon gets smashed up in episode 4, so Rook's Rest, he's going to get smashed up. Varys, the clubfoot, is going to sneak him away over to Dragonstone, right? But anyway, Tyrion tells Fagon when the stuff's going down, like they're being attacked and they're on the boat floating in the river. They passed under the Bridge of Dreams. This is where Jon Connington gets grayscale. Tyrion tells Fagon, you matter. Get below deck, because if we die, none of our deaths matter. So that's kind of like what I would have said to Rhaenyra in that moment. I would have been like, no. You think we just want to be men and we want to have pissing contests and we got hot blood and we want to go to war. It's the exact opposite of that. I'm saying, yes, we are like that, but let us do that so that you can survive, because you need to be around to lead these troops. None of us can do that, but you can. And like, obviously that wouldn't happen, right? Because for one, I have the context of watching this as a show, right? So I'm omnipresent. I'm like a god to these people because I know what they should do when I'm watching anyway. Also, that's not what happens in canon, so that's not what she's gonna do. They're breaking canon, but they're also sticking with the main themes of it. So I'm not saying that like you can forgive the Alicent scene where Rhaenyra snuck in as a septa and held a knife to her, and they talked for 10 minutes, and nobody thought to cover Rhaenyra's face. God dang it, it's so obvious you could even see her sideburns. You could see her blonde hair. That's a little crazy. That's a little like, how is the security around King's Landing so lax? Remember they cut the little boy's head off, and then like Daemon snuck into the city to do that to begin with, right? Like obviously no one saw him do that, but then the little boy died, and you're telling me they still didn't fix all the? It's a big city. There's a lot of gates, I guess. I don't know, but like I'm not saying that you could say that scene happens by basing it on some of the other moments where, like in specific, there's a moment where Rhaenyra is obviously taking the city, and Alicent hears of the war plans of like what's about to happen, and Aegon and Aemond are still alive, and she's like, my sons, please, my sons. She basically tells Rhaenyra, she says, yo, you can have the North, all of the people that are loyal to you can have, and I'll take my sons and we'll go to the Westerlands, and basically House Hightower, all the individuals that are loyal to the Green, and kind of carve out 2 separate kingdoms. She's like, we'll have, peace that way. And Rhaenyra's like, nah, that, right? So, I'm not saying that scene that does happen in Fire and Blood, that moment justifies Rhaenyra sneaking into the city, but it does dance along the lines of canon. So it didn't, is immediately, when I saw the leaks for that, like I said, when I read the leaks, I was like, this is awful. That sounds awful. Why would she sneaks into the city dressed up as a septa and holds a knife to her and to kid? Because the other thing that was tagged on to those leaks was that she kidnaps her, right? Like they said that she takes Alicent hostage, and then Alicent becomes her hostage, and then that's why we see Alicent in the trailer in the green field. That was like the part of the leak. That was, at least that's the leak that I was sent to the DMs over on Twitter. Speaking of which, make sure you go follow me at _hunts, right? But I mean, it sounded awful. But then I watched it on the TV show, and I was pleasantly surprised. So, yeah, I don't know. Is the audio still good? Can you guys still hear me? I hope you guys can. Let me check the chat here. Let me jump the chat. I know y'all can see the chat because it's right next to me, but it's actually not big enough for me to read it. Wow, we got 84 people watching? Hey, look, I'm going to be honest. I'm really proud of that. I'm really happy of that because I did what made me quit YouTube. I did it. I just had to. I was like, I got to see what's going on number-wise. Because I thought my video breakdown would get like 10,000 views, but it didn't. So I went and I looked and I saw Alt-Shift-X has like 500,000 people that like watch his live stream, man. That's crazy, right? That's nuts. And then I was like, I used to have those numbers. When I was on YouTube and I first started, I used to have those numbers. I don't now, and I'm still doing it. But anyway, I had like spiraled. I like just went complete mental breakdown mode. I was like, oh, I'm not good enough. I need an accent. I need to have a British or Australian accent. I need to meet George R. R. Martin. I need to get in with the show. Like I was like, I'm not good enough. I was like, what's the point? I don't even want to do this. I was like, I'm going to cancel the live stream. Like, it was crazy, dude. All these thoughts when I ended up having an argument with my girlfriend. Like, it was nuts. And then obviously I smoked and I was like, you know what? That's stupid. I'm doing this because it's fun. And also I have had massive opportunities from YouTube. So if I stop doing it, I'm dumb, right? Like, I got to meet members from the cast. I didn't get to meet members from the cast of the new show House of the Dragon, but I've talked with them on Instagram very heavily over the course of the 1.5 or 2 years that it was in between season 1 and season 2, so that's cool. Oh yeah, speaking of which, there was a message from Elliot, and I wanted to read that. Elliot Tittins replaced Sir Eric Cargill, not Sir Eric, but Sir Eric of the Blacks. He said, well, I already read the first message. Oh, wait, no, I haven't read this one. Oh, yeah, he was saying that he was traveling back, like, obviously, the episode, he was doing something, right? He was traveling, right? But then he got back to me, and he said, I've not had word back yet, so I'm not sure if I can say, but I've actually seen it in the behind the episode thing, so I can read this. But he says, because I wasn't sure if it was him or his brother that had died, and I was like, the one that fell on his sword, right, said, Rhaenyra, forgive me. And I was like, why? I couldn't remember my reasoning, but I was like, it was Arik. It was Luke Tinzer that won the fight. But I think they said in the after credits thing that it was Eric. At least that's what like 20 comments have said. But he says, I've not had word back yet, so I'm not sure if I can say and whether the info is out there at this point. But I can say that when we shot it, we both ended up with a cut around our right knee / tight area. And from a character perspective, no matter which twin survived that moment, no matter which twin had survived, that moment would have been the same. The feeling that hit them at that point was so extreme, an inner death that could only be dealt with by suicide. Man, worded it pretty good, and I butchered it. Sorry about that. Elliot, if you're watching this. But yeah, getting back to my point here, is I was like, I made myself spiral earlier because I started comparing myself to other people that are way more, They're just obviously they're better at doing this because they wouldn't have as much success as they do, and I have a hard time accepting that. I keep making excuses. I'm like, oh, it's because he's got an accent. Oh, it's because he got to watch the episode early and he had all this time to prepare. Oh, it's because this. Oh, it's because that. No, it's because they're just better at doing this, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's certain things that I'm really good with, or really good with. Well, I am really good with the pussy. I'm not, just because I said that, right? That's probably what that means when I say that. But no, there's certain things that I'm good at that it just, I excel at in those things. But anyway, let's talk about the TV show, man. This is nuts. I did 6 minutes of no audio and then 20 minutes of me just being all over the place. But anyway, all right, so the first thing that I wanted to discuss, we already kind of talked about the Rhaenyra and Alicent thing, and I'm going to come back to that. But Daemon, as you can see this image behind me, Daemon. Let me go ahead and make this, I'll just put myself behind that. But yeah, Daemon, and then maybe I can make the chat a little bit bigger so I can read what y'all are saying. Okay, so what's interesting about the Daemon plot with Rhaenyra, sorry, I was trying to put my logo up there, is that y'all remember Daemon... Excuse me, that was a burp. Daemon corrects Sir Simon Strong when Sir Simon says, my prince, right? He says, your grace. And I don't know if it was that obvious. I feel like it was obvious to me, but that's because I'm obsessed with this show. But basically, Daemon's saying, no, I'm the king, right? Because right after that, I can't remember if it was the Castellan Sir Simon Strong or one of his bastards, or one of his sons or whatever. But basically, he says, I just thought that you were the consort. I didn't know that you were, and he's like, Daemon kind of shut him up. But it's interesting that they're doing that because it's weird. It feels weird not seeing myself. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to pop myself up here. Something like that. Maybe like that or something. I don't know. I got to see what it says. Weird. I was about to slide my camera physically this way as opposed to seeing. But yeah, so you can't see Daemon no more. You can see Daemon behind me if I move my mic over here. Yeah, look at that. He was wearing that armor in this episode. That is a painting from J. Fox, and I swear I'll get my ADHD into control at some point. We're in for a long night. We're only 30 minutes into this stream, so eventually, I'll get it together. Right. So anyway, it is cool. By the way, that's J Fox Art. Go follow him on Instagram. Go buy his painting. Someone has bought his work before, and that's dope. It was a really cool rendition of the Black Table. Aegon's painted table at the Black Council, which was like episode 10 of last season. But it was a rendition of that scene when they slide the candles underneath the painting and then under the painted table and then all of Rhaenyra's advisors stand around. That was the image that J. Fox painted. And I think he posted it on his social media. If he didn't, the person who had it done, Pebbles83, she's an executive producer of this video. She's a member of my Patreon tier, known as the DragonAuntie tier. But she's the one who had it done. And she posted it on hers, but I think her Instagram is private. So I might go and share that if I can remember to do that. But it was a really cool painting. So anyway, Daemon, right? He is saying that at least the show is making, because there's no way they're going to go through with it. There's no way that Daemon's going to cause another war. So it's going to be blacks versus the greens. So Rhaenyra versus Aegon versus Daemon. No, it's not going to happen that way. Daemon's probably going to get really close to the point of acting like or doing some sort of treasonous action, but ultimately coming back around. That's just Daemon. Remember Daemon in season 1, he gets exiled, then he comes back. Then he gets exiled, then he comes back, and he's named himself king before, right? King of the Narrow Sea, but he's naming himself, or he's giving his crown to his brother. And that happened. That's what happens in canon. Daemon shows up at I think it's the 5th or 10th anniversary of Alicent and Viserys' wedding, and he shows up on Caraxes, and he lands on the tourney grounds, and he gives the crown of the Stepstones to Viserys for literally no reason, because, like in the TV show, he's banned. So that's Daemon's character. So Daemon is supposed to be the dude who's like, yeah, I'm the king. Rhaenyra's not here, so you call me Your Grace. Daemon likes that. And I can't believe I haven't talked about it yet. What the hell is going on with these flashbacks? That would have messed me up. Did the writers watch my live stream when I of last episode and then film this episode in the week in between? But no, the Jaehaerys being sewed, that is so disturbing. It's because I have children, right? Right the same age as Jaehaerys in the TV show. But that is so disturbing. And then the comedy. Oh, by the way, we got to see Millie Alcock again. That's dope. The people who sent me those leaks, I can't believe that's real. I'm going to go back. I know I'm saying this because I'm sounding like I want to hype some crap up. But no, that is legit real. They said that Millie Alcock was coming back. And they were, I don't know if Millie Alcock, they didn't see, is Millie Alcock non-binary? I don't know to call them or they or she or, I don't know. I don't mean anything by it, but Millie Alcock, I don't think they were seen filming at all on set, so that was a complete shock. But there was like 3 or 4 different people that were like, oh yeah, they're totally coming back for a flashback, right? And then there's another flashback coming up because there's a scene where it looks like it's Daemon's hand, right, around the actress who plays, they played Emma Aaron on the TV show. I'm trying to remember the actor's name because it's something with an S. And I had followed them for a while, but I can't remember their name. Dang. But anyway, the actress who played Rhaenyra's mom, supposedly that her face shape fits it, but also it looks exactly like Gail Rankin. So we know Gail is doing. Gail's the actress who's playing Alice Rivers. Did they say her name was Alice Rivers on the TV show? Like, we know that HBO confirmed her name was going to be Alice because they did the thing where they announced all the characters and they said the character's name and they said, hey, this is the actor that's going to be playing that character. But I can't remember if they said her name or not. But that's Alice Rivers, right? The woman with the black hair when Damon's in front of that tree when you realize it was a vision, right? Not a flashback, but a vision of Rhaenyra sewing. Like, it's interesting that Daemon probably wants that version of Rhaenyra. Like, he wanted the teenage version of Rhaenyra so he could mold her or manipulate her from that young age, and like she wouldn't have had all of Harwin's kids. Maybe he feels like he would have had a stronger connection with her back then. And then also, it's funny too because online, that's what everybody was saying, is like they felt like there was a bunch of chemistry between Daemon and younger Rhaenyra. But anyway, after that flashback, remember there's a woman with the black hair. That was actually a little bit scary. Like, I'm not scared. This is not a horror TV show, but that was a little eerie, right? That's a better word. It was eerie as shit to see this black-haired woman off in the distance. And oh my God, I love the setup. I gotta say it. I love the setup. Remember, she goes, "You're gonna die here." She goes, I think she has like a northern. She got me hype as hell. That weird little eerie witchy, like she says it in her story, right? Gail Rankin. I followed her for a little bit on Instagram, but then she started promoting a bunch of projects. So I was like, okay, let me follow her when the show comes out, so that way it can only be House of the Dragon stuff that I see in my feed, right? But anyway, she was talking about her characters like real witchy and like super like something that made me go, oh, okay, yeah, you ain't read the books. You don't know about Alice Rivers, right? But then I seen it on the TV show. I'm like, oh, yeah, I get it. Totally witchy. You just pop up. You're giving people visions. Like Daemon. Okay, so we as the audience saw Daemon seeing young Rhaenyra sewing a head together, right? Sewing Jaehaerys' head back on, right? And did they use catgut? Was it catgut? Because when I went back and re-looked, it looked like it was gold metal staples. But then you see her sewing like a cross-stitch pattern that might be catgut. You don't understand how important it is that if they do not use catgut to sew up Jaehaerys' neck or just any future wounds that they show being treated on this TV series and they aren't using cat intestine, I will be extremely pissed off. You know why? Because that's what they use in the books. And when Tyrion gets his nose cut off, I said this in the last video, I really did. When Tyrion gets his nose cut almost entirely off in Clash Kings at the end, well, not at the end, it's during the Battle of Blackwater, which happens. This is embarrassing because I'm actually reading it. It happens. I think there's maybe 2/3 of the book before it happens. So about 2/3 of the way into the book, Tyrion gets his nose cut off by Sir Mandon Moore. And he goes out. He's out for a while. But when he wakes up, he realizes that they used catgut to sew his face up. So that was really cool. That's not cool. It's not cool to kill cats and use their intestines to sew up your wounds. No, but I was just saying it would be cool if Condell, who's read the books, right? I hope he's read them as many times as I have, because why not? What else you got, right? Keep reading them books. It's just like little things like that. It's cool. But anyway, Daemon is standing in front of the weirwood tree, and then he has a flashback, and then we see that, or he has a flashback, and then we see that he's standing in front of the weirwood tree. So what he saw was probably not what we saw, right? He probably was just, like, maybe he just dozed off temporarily. Because I feel, what I'm trying to get at is I feel like he doesn't know that Alice Rivers is messing with his head yet. Because I would, like, it makes sense that he's acting that way. Like, okay, so he's got two swords crossing a door, right? And then he hears a knock at the door, and then the person walks away laughing. So then he quickly whips open it's like a horror movie. It's like, that doesn't make sense. That behavior doesn't make sense. But it does when you realize he's daydreaming. So I wonder if he didn't, like, while he's daydreaming, if he doesn't experience something different than what we're actually seeing. Or maybe it's just part of the way that they wrote it, because eventually he does confront her, and that's the scene that we see of his hand going around her neck. Daemon's got a thing for choking women. He likes it. I've been told that certain women like it, as long as you don't press hard enough, right? You got to do it in the right spot, and you can't press too hard, right? I don't know. I've never tried it, but supposedly they do. Anyway, Rook's Rest next week. Heck yeah. For sure. This was a good episode, though. I give it like a 7 out of 10. If you're just stopping by and you want my thoughts real quick, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I give this episode 7 out of 10. But jumping back on track here, what I'm getting at this whole point is that I don't understand, I guess, why Daemon didn't immediately freak out on Alice Rivers. Like, she says you're going to die here, right? Oh, yeah, I was in the middle of giving props, and I had never said it. You can see Daemon in front of the weirwood tree, and then you see, I think we saw a moon, but you saw the God's Eye, the lake, the lake behind him. That's where he dies at. He's going to die. The battle above the God's Eye is what it's called, right? It's this lake. I was about to say Alicent will be making a trip there, but I don't know if she actually will. That scene where she's in a green field looked like she could be somewhere in the Riverlands. But anyway, I love that backdrop, because they did it at like a night or a darker like lighting, so it looked, you know what, dude, this is embarrassing that I can't remember. I'm trying to recall. I can't remember my own thoughts when I get sidetracked, let alone an episode that I just watched for the first time now an hour ago. So I'm losing. I can't remember exactly what happened in the episode. So I gotta pull it up on my phone, because there's no way for me to see it. But I feel like the clip or the shot that we saw of Daemon was like when they showed the God's Eye and they showed the weirwood tree, they showed it at nighttime, they showed the moon. That's probably the exact setting of how it's going to look when he... Oh, wow. I could do this, though. Like, look. Can y'all see that? They couldn't have hide her sideburns? Hide her sideburns, man. You can, I mean, it's not sideburns, but like the side of her hair, it's blonde. Make her look more discreet. She's going to get stabbed in the face. Billy Bob, what's up, my boy? He says 6 out of 10 at best for me. Pebbles83 says another good episode. Let me hop in the chat real quick. Joshua Miller says, see ya next week, same place, LOL. Peace, man. All right, later, Josh. By the way, the first 6 minutes, no audio. Main Bastard Kush says, I'm sure Aegon's degenerate friends took off their white cloak because they were going to a brothel and the honor, but I wonder if Aegon changed his mind about assigning them the position. Oh, so you're talking to somebody else in the chat. Sorry. I'm cutting in on the middle of an A and B conversation, and I am C. Oh, we got some super chats. I thought I saw one, but I didn't want to stop and click on it. Super chat from Heart of Inspiration says no sound. Oh, well, thank you for that super chat, and I think I got that fixed. That was from a while ago. Thank you for that super chat. Then there was another one. I thought I saw another one. Nope. I don't think I did. Oh, well, either way. McKay Love says we can't hear you. I wonder how many people says that. No sound. Stop, no sound. This is the part where he plugs his CBD. He even adjusts the mic. Stop talking and look at the chat, bro. Bro, it's going off right now. Nobody can hear. Look at the chat, bro. No sound. Oh, man, I love that. I mean, obviously, I feel bad that there was no sound, right? But it's also funny that every single person in the chat was like, dude, we can't hear you. And I was just like, you guys don't understand how this episode was like this and like that. But anyway, sorry, I was trying to go to the scene where Daemon... Does that happen in the middle of the Alicent and Rhaenyra conversation? No, it happens right before that, right? Yeah, right here. Sorry, let me pop in his headphone. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Oh, man, it's so pretty. That is a gorgeous weirwood tree. But so yeah, what I was getting at before was I don't understand what Alicent, or what Alice, why Daemon didn't attack her. Like, he's clearly nervous about being in not necessarily enemy territory, but he's in territory that's, like, not Dragonstone, right? And he's not on Caraxes, right? And there's no I don't think there was a big army with him. I think he's going to rally the army there. So it makes sense if he's not sure what could happen that he wouldn't trust some random person who's like telling him he's going to die. Why he wouldn't immediately be like, all right, that lady's got to go in chains. Obviously, the confrontation is going to happen in episode 4. It looks like Daemon has more flashbacks. I got to watch the clips for next episode. I have seen it, but only the one time. It's a cool scene. I wonder if showing the video like this, like y'all can't hear the audio, but if I show it like this, would HBO be able to flag it? I bet you they would. But she literally says you're gonna die here. That was, this will make me sound like I'm jaded, right? But that was good foreshadowing. That was good setup. It's like a good line because obviously, well, it would be, I would assume, about 2 or 3 seasons from now. But in years, that's like 4 or 6 years. Who knows how fast they're going to be able to get these next seasons out. But it's not going to happen until probably the final season, the last couple of episodes, when Daemon does die there, right above there, right? He plummets into the ground. At least that's what the history books say. The history books also say that he survived for some time and lived, died from his injuries, but lived for a little bit with nettles, right? There's just no history of him after that battle. His body was never recovered, though. What is interesting is that Aemond's bones were recovered. So we know Aemond died. Obviously, Daemon shoves his sword through Daemon shoves Dark Sister through Aemond's eye, right? The one with the sapphire in it. It's funny because I always thought it was his one good eye, right? And in my mind, the reason why I thought that is because it's like a double F you to Aemond, like both your eyes. Your eyes are screwed now, right? So basically, they face off. They fly up. Daemon intentionally doesn't put the chains on his saddle, and then when they're up in the air, Daemon jumps off of his dragon and then lands on top of Vhagar and Aemond. And they'll probably set it up so it's a similar way to when Lucerys was being chased on Arax by Vhagar and Aemond, right? But it's gonna basically they're gonna fly up in the air. Daemon's going to go up higher so that he's above Aemond, then he's going to drop down on him, and when he drops down on him, he's going to put Dark Sister through the bad eye, through the eye with the sapphire. Well, I guess it's technically his good eye, because it's the one with the shiny rock in it that makes him see the future. Although, that also kind of gets construed. He doesn't necessarily see the future. Alice Rivers sees the future in her flames. He says it's in her flames. But it would actually make more sense that if she's not necessarily a fire priest or fire witch, right, which is what we all thought she was, like a fire priestess like Melisandre, because Aemond describes her as seeing things in the flames, right? it makes more sense if she's a bastard of House Strong that she would have northern connections to weirwood trees. There's a weirwood tree at Harrenhal, right? She grew up there. That's the one thing that canon tells us, is that she was a wet nurse for several generations at she was a wet nurse for House Strong at Harrenhal for several generations, and she may have even been a wet nurse during the time when Lionel Strong was a Ute. So this is Clubfoot's father. This is Harwin's father. This is technically Jacaerys and Lucerys' grandpa, right? She was a wet nurse during that time, and she looks how she looks, right? So there's something special about her, right? But we all thought, I can't say we, me personally, I thought she could have been Melisandre, because Melisandre's a lot older than how she looks on the TV show. And also, she's a fire priest that's in Westeros that's dealing with Targaryens. And Melisandre has a history of telling people they're the chosen one and then being wrong and then being like, oh no, you're the chosen one. At least on the TV show, right? Because she did that several times, right? In the books, not necessarily the case. She's kind of still all for Stannis. Like, there's this guy who, when in Arya's POV chapters in Clash of King, they call this prisoner that's locked up all for Joffrey, because he keeps saying, I'm all for Joffrey. I'm all for the princes, man. So, like, at this time during Harrenhal is being held by the Mountain, right? The Mountain is a terrible person, and he's torturing everyone, and he's trying to get secrets, and he just ends up killing everyone. So when Tywin gets there, he's like, stop doing that, you idiot. We can use these people and put them to work. But anyway, before he gets there, the Mountain is killing all these people, and there's this guy who's like, I'm all for Joffrey, and it's, long story short, he just doesn't want to be killed, right? So, I was about to say someone who I was making the point should be all for such and such, but I literally can't remember. That's the weed. I mean, we all know it's the weed. Come on, let's not even pretend. Like, I'm not going to say it's pretend, but I self-diagnosed that I have ADHD, right? I self-diagnosed that I'm for sure, I'm positive I'm some form of having some form of autism, because I wouldn't be doing this right now, right? But it's all self-diagnosed, so I stopped saying that. So I'm just letting y'all know right now, one of the things that for sure is influencing my short-term memory loss, of course, I'm all over the place, so that's like ADHD, right? But I'm not on any caffeine. I'm just on edibles. So that really is the only thing that's affecting my short-term memory loss. I'm just excited because I like this TV show. But yeah, so anyway, Melisandre, we thought that could be her, but she's going to be, it seems like Alice Rivers, the Weirwood Tree backdrop, the fact that House Strong is one of the only houses south of the Neck, which is this location that it's like a divider between the north and the south on the map of Westeros. They're the only one of the few houses south of the Neck that worships. They proudly boast of their connection to the First Men, and the First Men worship the Weirwood trees. Actually, the First Men, they do worship the Weirwood trees, but it's kind of interesting because they clearly had a religion before they came to Westeros. They were just the first men over here. So before the First Men came to Westeros, there was nothing but, like, what are they? Children of the Forest, giants, probably wild feral dragons or wyverns, right? Wyverns exist in Essos. Why would they not exist over in Westeros? There's also stories of pre-existing culture of dragon riders that like outdate the Valyrians. So there's proof that dragons were all over the world, but we just only have history of the Targaryens having dragons and then also them descending from Valyria. So anyway, there was this time where the First Men came over to Westeros, and then eventually, through history, they adopt the religion of the Children of the Forest. It's crazy because they actually used to burn the Weirwood trees, right? Like, they actually pissed off the Children of the Forest so bad to the point where that's what started the wars, is they would just cut their Weirwood trees down and they would build stuff out of them. First Men were in Westeros for so long that they, like, kind of founded the Iron Islands, but they, like, lost connection. The group of First Men that went to the Iron Islands, at least this is, I don't even want to call it a theory. It's not really a theory, but the World of Ice and Fire leads you to believe that the First Men are linked to the Ironborn because they have tradition. And then also there's Ironborn people that have First Men name. Like Theon Stark, you think, oh, Theon, that's it. Oh, yeah, he's an Ironborn. That's an Ironborn name. No, it's not. Theon is actually Oh, I said Theon Stark. Theon Greyjoy, right? Theon. Dickless, right? On the TV show. He still has his wiener in the books. He's got his wiener as much as Aemond. We're going to talk about Aemond with his wiener. We're only an hour into this podcast. We got 2 more to go, right? Right? So, well, crap. What was I? Just kidding. I remember where I was. So the first men were said to, like, basically burn the weirwood trees. So they had a religion before they came over to Westeros, and we don't know what that religion was. So I was just trying to correct myself. As we say that they're, like, how strong is the only religion south of the neck being the dividing point between north and south on the map of Westeros. They're one of the only houses down there that still proudly boast of having connections to northern gods, the many-faced unknown gods of the north. Basically, they worship these trees that have these faces carved into them that at one point they used to hang entrails of prisoners in, and they would make sacrifices to the trees. So they would kill people and let their blood soak into the ground of the weirwoods. And, like, that's in recorded northern history. So they for sure did this. So before that, we don't know what the religion was, but it was something. So anyway, there's a deep connection to the weirwood tree. It got me really excited seeing that set up for Daemon dying there. There's probably something more to Daemon being, like, dying in that scene and his body never being found. And, like, I saw a theory. I guess it was a theory. Someone had commented on my video and was like, yo, Gray Area has this theory where she thinks, Gray Area is another, I'm sure if you guys watching me, you know who that is. She's another YouTuber. But the commenter had said that she has a theory that she thinks that Daemon is going to be, I can't remember exactly, but basically he becomes Bloodraven before Bloodraven, like a Green Seer or something. And, like, I remember when I first read that comment, I, like, just scoffed. No offense to Gray Area, but I scoffed at that theory because I was like, there's no way that the show would do something like that. But now, after seeing this scene, I'm not saying that he becomes a Green Seer, but I'm saying there's got to be some kind of connection to Daemon dying at the location of the weirwood tree. And then, remember, they have a weirwood tree in King's Landing, and one of the big things is like, we know Baelor the Blessed is this king that is descended from the loins of, kind of directly from Rhaenyra, right? So King Aegon, let me think about this for a second. This is really going to test my brain on Targaryen history. But King Aegon III, right, who becomes king after King Aegon II, so history craps on Rhaenyra so bad that she's not even written down as a queen, right? It just goes from King Aegon II to King Aegon III, right? So you have King Aegon the Conqueror, right? Then you have King Aenys, right? Then you have King Maegor. Maegor's even recorded. This is someone who killed 10,000 innocent people in the Riverlands and brought their skulls back to King's Landing. It was like, hey, all of these people worship the Faith of the Seven, and I killed them because they said I couldn't have sex with my siblings, right? That's how crazy Maegor was. He's recorded as a king, even though he usurped the throne from his nephew, Aegon the Younger, who was his brother's. Like, there's so much Targaryen civil wars. It happens all the time. But anyway, Rhaenyra is not even written down in the history books. There was a really good point I was trying to make there, but I can't remember what it was. It was probably something good. I think I need a ciggy, but I've got these Zens. You probably wonder why my accent just switched. But it's because I'm like, I don't know. I just zapped my brain. My brain just went out. It was like the feed that I had sending my mouth information from my brain, like that feed just shut off, and I was like, I can't remember anything. What am I doing right now? Why am I talking to this microphone? Who am I? It was crazy. That was crazy. Maybe I shouldn't have eaten the whole thing. Maybe I should have waited a little bit longer, but like, this thing doesn't affect me. All right. Destiny Mixed Queen Phillips 420 says, I'm sure Aemond, how the hell do you talk with these fucking things in your mouth? That's what he said to her because she had her nuts in his mouth. Mixed Queen Destiny Phillips 420 says, I'm sure Aemond is a grower. Yeah, he actually, okay, yeah, we talk about that. We talk about Aemond's peen. He actually did, his penis was actually not I don't know if it was his actual penis, so I don't want to talk about the actor's genitalia, but also it's like, because, people will say, like, you got to respect the actor and stuff, but also it's like, you're a public figure in the sense that, like, you knew that when you showed your penis, people are going to talk about your penis, so I'm pretty sure Ewan Smith doesn't have a problem with people talking about his penis. But if that is his actual penis, I would have asked for a fluffer, right? Destiny Phillips says, cool shirt, by the way, I have mine on. Nice, hell yeah, check this out. It's a cool shirt that, I would explain the design right now, but it's going to sidetrack me too much, and I was making a good point, about Aemond's penis. But if it was me, I would be like, hey, I know this might be considered sexual assault in some circles, but it's okay if I tug on my own penis a little bit before we start filming. Right? Because, like, I don't know about grow or not short. I want anybody who sees this to think I have a massive dog, male or female. I don't give a hell. Whoever's looking, I want them to think I have a huge penis. Bigger than my penis looks like when I'm filming a scene in front of strangers, which is probably what happened. Anyway, like I said, let's not spend too much time talking about the actor's body. Although, like I said, I'm pretty sure actors in general know that, like, when you do something like show your penis on camera, people are going to talk about it. Like, you should expect that. God, this shit just tastes horrible. It makes me sound like I got a fat lip. But yeah, it's like you should expect that. Like, I should expect that people are going to tell me whenever how wrong I am about certain parts of canon in the comments, but it makes me mad, right? So I guess that's what I could say for being on the actor's side. Is like, they knew that they were showing their penis, they were going to get some comments, but it's like they still have the right to be mad about the comments because, like, they're like, when I say canon, I'm trying to be right. So maybe him showing his penis is he's trying to, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying. Like, what are we talking about this man's penis? It's like, hey, man, like I said, I would have asked for a fluff. I would have been like, is it okay if I show my, you say the Hodor effect, Captain Raider. Yes, that was a fake penis. It was a large fake penis, but they had to use a prop for that. I mean, they could use my penis if they wanted to. They could ask me. They could have said, I hadn't even made a YouTube channel yet, but they could have found me. They could have asked my ex-girlfriends. They could have said, who is this guy with the large penis? They would have. I'd watched the show, right? But I would have been a stand-in for Hodor's penis. But the reason why they had to use a prop for that is because in the books, right, that scene happens with, I was about to say Natalie Pena, right? But that's the actress who played Asha. But it's Asha, Breanne, and Summer. And I actually almost confused it to the part where, so the TV show does that to my memory, bro. So Game of Thrones, the TV show, has a scene where Hodor runs around waving his arms, scaring the direwolves, and he sees giant dick flopping around, right? There's a couple scenes in the books where Hodor's giant dick is flopping around, and Asha comments on it. There's one scene in particular that really makes me laugh, where they're in the hot springs, and Bran gets into the hot springs, and Hodor's with him. Hodor farts, and then Summer laps up Hodor's fart. The fart makes a bubble in the water, and then Summer starts lapping it up. That made me die laughing. I was like, oh my God, this is the funniest thing ever. Right? And then there's another moment where Mira and Jojen and Bran are hanging out in the Godswood in Winterfell, and the Reeds are pressing, Jojen in specific is pressing Bran about his wolf dreams and how he may or may not have the ability to see the future, right? And he may or may not have the ability to not fix his legs in the sense that he'll be able to walk again, but he'll be able to fly because he can manifest himself in the form of a raven and crow and many other creatures and see the outside world, but then also go into the Weirwood net and see the past, present, and future. Anyway, Bran's scared about this. So Summer senses that, and Summer starts trying to attack the Reeds, and when they do that, the Reeds tense up and they freak out, right? Because Jojen's the one pushing Bran and pushing him for answers, and Mira even tells Bran to call the wolf off because she's scared of the wolf, and then she tells Jojen, like, chill out, yo, Jojen, shut up, dude, you're pissing the wolf off. So anyway, what happens is the wolves, not only Summer, but also Shaggy Dog, who's Jojen's, who's Jojen's? No, who's Rickon's wolf, right? And Rickon's a little boy, so he can't control his dog at all. His dog's savage as heck. Rickon's like 3 or 4, right, at this time. So they're all sitting there, and Bran tries to call off his, but they end up treeing them like a cat, right? So the Reeds run up this tree, and the direwolves refuse to let the Reeds come down, so Bran has to call over Hodor, and Hodor comes over with his dick swinging, because he's also swimming, I think, and he comes over with his dick swinging, and it's like, makes the wolves see how large his dick is, and they run away. That's not in canon, but that's what I have in my head, right? The George writes it as like the wolves they love Hodor, and they're not going to hurt Hodor, but Hodor's so big that the wolves are kind of afraid of him, so they run away, right? And they just kind of scamper off, and then the Reeds come down, and like the story progresses, right? But in my head canon, it's because they see Hodor's giant ding-dong swinging around, but all right, let's do it. Rook's Rest will probably be episode 5. Are you sure? I don't think so. I think it's supposed to be episode 4. The leaks, Rafael Luna, by the way, shout out, patron member. The leaks say episode 4, and then also, just as like a little bit of insight into my channel, I had the episode 4 plot leak video go a little bit viral. Like, it has like 18,000 views, but it got like 2,000 views in like the past 24 hours. So it kind of just, maybe that's because people were like, oh, what's happening next or whatever. But yeah, so let's talk about this. So we talked about the Daemon thing a little bit with how he's dealing with Alice Rivers at Harrenhal, right? But I kind of mentioned it a little bit, and I haven't really talked about it in detail, and that's Daemon. By the way, I just realized my hair parted weirdly down the middle because I put a hat on. Hang on, let me fix that. Does it look good? How's my hair look, guys? Look good? Never mind, I'll ask your mom later. That's the voice I used to use 20 years ago when I was a teenager and I was pretending to be a prep. Whatever that even is, I was skater, dude. I was skater, so I like didn't like the preps, so I'd be like, scoffing at everyone. So yeah, I mentioned it a little bit, but I didn't talk about it in great detail. It seems like they're going, actually I kind of did mention it. I talked about it for a little bit, but Daemon and Rhaenyra kind of seems like they're going to set up a little plot where Daemon's like having the Castellan call him your grace, and that's like king formality, not king consort formality, and that's what he is. He's a king consort because Rhaenyra was named the heir, and the only way for Daemon to become king is if Daemon was named the heir and then married Rhaenyra, right? So he would be King Daemon and she would be Queen Rhaenyra. But the fact that Daemon's not the heir, Rhaenyra is, she's gonna rule in her power. It's like it's exactly, literally exactly what happened with Queen. Oh my God, I forgot her name. Is it Elizabeth or Victoria? The lady who ruled for like 50 years, the Queen Elizabeth. Queen Victoria was like her grandmother or something in the 1800s. Anyway, Elizabeth, she's the queen, right? And her husband's the consort. He's not the king. He's not, if she had died, right, and he was still alive, but he died before her, right? But if she had died first, he wouldn't become the king. Her son, Philip, the guy who's the king now, would still become the king because it goes from her to her bloodline, right? It doesn't, it never has, and almost, I think, I can't remember what the show did, but almost never went to Daemon, even though technically it should have gone to Daemon because the king didn't have any sons, and there's always kind of a male heir as tradition in Westeros, right? It still went to Rhaenyra. So Daemon is the king consort. So he's like, it's almost like, when dudes get married and then take a hyphenated name and then also have their wife's last name. No, but the idea is similar to that, right? It's like, I guess that wasn't a good comparison, but it kind of is in the sense of like, it's like he's called king, but he's the consort to the actual ruler who has all the power. But the dynamic of him forcing people to do that and then realizing he's about to have this massive army that's going to be under his command in the name of Rhaenyra, but Rhaenyra's not there, right? And Rhaenyra kind of doesn't really know what he's doing. She kind of does, but not really. Remember, he kind of, go your own way. Like, I really got to stop singing. So every time there's a chance for me to say the title of a song that's singing involved, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take that chance. But yeah, they're just making the conflict seem like that's going to be a thing. But ultimately, I think what's going to happen, and this is what started one of the tangents earlier about people saying that the show is making everything an accident. Daemon's going to make it look like he may usurp Rhaenyra, but ultimately he's going to end up taking King's Landing by the end of this season. I'm pretty sure he's going to be the one that kills Sir Otto. That has been ultimately foreshadowed. I think they've set that up pretty well. Like, they've set it up better than the books because it doesn't happen in the books. Sir Otto's just killed. Daemon and Sir Otto's rivalry is a thing, but it's so much better on the TV shows. That's one of the things that the TV show has made better. Like the fight between the Mountain and the Viper. Sweet. Alright, so let's see. The next thing that I wanted to talk about, I had a picture for this. Give me 1 second. And then also, this was the one of Alicent. That's not the one that I wanted to use, but that's good enough. How am I going to do that? There we go. I know I should have gotten a picture of Septa Rhaenyra, but I didn't. But, like, that was the next thing I wanted to talk about. It's, I've talked about that a bunch. I kind of said everything I had to say. I feel like I'm going to be repeating myself. But Alicent and Rhaenyra, that scene didn't happen in the books, right? There's almost little to no interaction between them from the time of, in canon. We're talking about what happens in Fire and Blood. And this is agreed upon by almost all of the sources, unanimously across the board. This is the events that happened in canon, right? So all of the in-world, in-universe authors of the fictional history book, Fire and Blood. It's not fictional in the universe of A Song of Ice and Fire, but the history book, the sources, they all agree that Viserys forced Rhaenyra and Alicent to make a public declaration for themselves. And once that happens, there's little to no interaction with them until the war breaks out. And the way that the war breaks out is that Alicent, Cole, Sir Otto, they're like, dude, we're going to die if, I'm trying to think exactly, like, because it does make it seem like it's a couple people's different ideas, but they basically convince Aegon that if he doesn't take the crown, Rhaenyra will have him and all of his brothers and even his kids killed, and they'll be set aside, right? And then they go and look for him, and he refuses it at first. He's like, it's Rhaenyra. It's obviously Rhaenyra's. My father said it was hers. And the show did that. They just did it a kind of a slightly different way, I guess. Actually, they did it pretty close to that. But that's besides the point, because there's little to no, after that in canon, there's no interaction between them. except for when Rhaenyra takes King's Landing, like I had mentioned earlier. Once she takes King's Landing, there's a few different times where historians say Rhaenyra and Alicent had a direct interaction, right? There's one time where it's mentioned that Rhaenyra, it's part of that, episode 2 is called Rhaenyra the Cruel. That's a heavier theme in Fire and Blood. And Fire and Blood's not even that big of a book. It's pretty decent size. Let me look it up real quick. How many pages is Fire and Blood? 736 pages, right? So that sounds like a lot, but the actual chunk that covers this story is like 200 of those 736 pages, because it starts with King Aegon the Conqueror, spends a good chunk with him, but spends even longer with his sons. So you learn about the reign of Aenys, King Aenys, who's the second Targaryen king of Westeros, and then King Maegor, who's the third king of Westeros, and then you even learn a little bit about Aegon, who's Aenys' son, who should have been the third king of Westeros, but Maegor stole his crown, and then you learn about Jaehaerys the Conciliator, who's the fourth king of Westeros, then you learn about Viserys, who's the fifth king, and then you learn about King Aegon II, who's technically the sixth king, and then Rhaenyra, who would be technically the sixth, and then her son, Aegon III, who becomes the seventh king of Westeros, and then it stops there, right? Wait, no, it doesn't, does it? No, it does. It stops during his reign. But you learn all of the history of all of the Targaryen kings, at least a brief summary of most of them, in the World of Ice and Fire. So you know what happens post that. But that was my whole point, is like there's such a small chunk of history that Fire and Blood covers. Is I hate to say in the books this is what happens, because it's not in the books. It's in the small chunk of pages that the broader story is in. There's several instances where Alicent and Rhaenyra interact, but it's not at this point in the story. So my whole point in saying that is I was a lot madder at canon breaks, like Rhaenys busting up the floor, and my confusion with the quest for the search for Aegon, because he's very easily found in the books, right? I just said I hate saying that, but in the books he's very easily found. They know exactly where he is, right? He's doing terrible things. He's a bit of a rapper, right? A child one, right? So it's even worse than on the books, because he's actually getting off while he's watching children fight by a child. So a child's getting him off while he's watching other. Don't need to say it because I just got demonetized, right? There goes the demonetization, right? But that's what happens with him in the books, right? And then they find him and they convince him, right? And then that's that. And Alicent and Otto didn't oppose each other. So I had a problem with that twist. Like, I was confused. I didn't understand why they did that. Like, so I guess I wasn't mad. I was just confused at why they did that. I had to rewatch the episode to actually get the plot of what they were trying to do, right? But I'm not as mad at that and I know this is crazy, because literally Rhaenyra dressed up as someone else, didn't cover her face up that well, and snuck into the city. When you explain it like that, that's why the leaks said it, when the leaks wrote it that way, and it's like just a comment on Reddit, or, just like a summary, right? When it's written that way, you're like, that sounds awful. But then when I watch it, I'm like, that way, I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying I like it, but I'm saying I'm not that mad at the break of canon that I was when I saw the Aegon chase scene when they're trying to figure out where the king is, and then also Rhaenys busting up the floor. I'm not as mad as I was initially at that as I am at this. So honestly, I thought it was pretty good. Chat, let me know what you think. I'm going to jump in the chat there in a second, but I need to get out this third and fourth and fifth thing, because I feel like I'm never going to be able to do that. Oh yeah, third thing. We were just talking about this. Aemond's penis. What's up with that? It's crazy. I think he showed his balls too. Nice. There's a bunch of ladies who were like, yes, we're going to have to go back and pause. But yeah, also when he stood up, he actually looked more cut. So I think I was talking junk about how skinny he looked in my live stream, right? Like I said, actors, you shouldn't show. I mean, like I said, I can make a defense of, like, if I was an actor and if I'm just someone commenting on an actor's appearance, you gotta be able to put up with public scrutiny as a public figure, right? And if not, then don't be public. And I think that's why Aemond, the actor who plays Aemond, Ewan Mitchell, I always say Ewan, but Ewan Mitchell is so private, is he doesn't want to hear what people have to say about his performances or his body or any of that stuff. But also, it's like, you can't expect people to not say that, right? Because you're a public figure. You're in a public show. So I was commenting, I thought he looked kind of skinny. I was like, yo, you need to eat a chicken sandwich, right? But then I saw a bunch of posts online where it looked like people were ridiculing him for being too skinny, and then they compared him to Voldemort. Not Voldemort. Oh, damn. I said his name like 3 times, dude. It's all right. I got my, what if I did pull out a Harry Potter replica wand right now? I wish I had one. There's something it was a really smooth stick that I found in the woods, and I sanded it down, and it's real nice, and it's downstairs somewhere because my kids play with it. But I was going to pull that out and be like, because I said, he who must not be named 3 times in a row there. Like, he's not going to come show up and leave me with a sky on my head. Yeah, no, I'm not a big Harry Potter fan. I just obviously watched it like everybody else was as a kid. But anyway, getting back on track here. We're talking about Aemond's peen, so let me make Alicent disappear. Let me bring up an image. Oh, wait, let me bring that back up. Transform. Where is it? I mean, this is kind of related, but not really. We're talking about him, right? And this was the scene from last episode, but he was naked. But yeah, yeah. What do you guys think? Do you think it's gonna make him? Okay, so let me explain this. So this is 1 hour and 17 minutes. I'll try to timestamp for the 7 minutes where the audio was off, and then someone please comment down below about this, because I'm going to explain Rook's Rest. I guess you don't have to timestamp it, because I'm going to talk about Rook's Rest in the preview for the next episode at the end of towards the end of the stream, right? But anyway, Rook's Rest, the way, and I'm going to relate this back to Aemond being naked, right? And being made fun of by Aegon. And that, like, even though Aegon was drunk, he literally made him stand up, show his dick to everybody, and walk off. Like, he knew that if he had countered at his brother, said something insidious, I'm saying insidious because that's the caption on the picture, but if he had done something that might have been seen as an insult to the king, it's in a very public place, but he's also very vulnerable because he's naked. So it's like, the king wouldn't do anything back because Aegon is definitely afraid of Aemond. Like, Aemond, for sure, he towers over him, right? And also, he's a lot more cut up when he's standing up. So when he's laying down and he's, like, in that fetal position with his arms around his body, he's like, he just looks way scrawnier. But when he stood up, you could tell he definitely did some. I mean, I watch a lot of, I work out myself, so I could tell that he definitely did. Shit, I saw him. I mean, why not? You and Mitchell's over here getting naked. Why not? I'll do it. Let's do it. All right, somebody's put $5 super chat, and then somebody puts a $50 super chat. I'll show my wiener. Yeah, But when he stood up and walked around, you could see he was more cut up. I'm just gonna leave my shirt off for the rest of the stream. Oh yeah, look at those muscles. Yeah, muscle daddy. My Twitter username used to be Dragon Daddy. Maybe it should be Muscle Daddy. Oh yeah, Alt-Shift-X, you got 1 million people watching right now, but can you show these muscles? I'm just kidding. If you were watching earlier, you get that reference, because I was talking about how I made myself go into a spiral by comparing myself to others. I like almost ruined my whole life in a sequence of 10 minutes. That's how fragile my mental state is at times when it comes to YouTube stuff, because it was like a big part of my life for so long. And now I think I've kind of gotten it under control. As long as I don't do that. That's why I unfollowed all of my friends, actual people that I met. But I can't follow them because I'll see their stuff and I'll compare myself to them. And I don't want to do that because that kind of happens. But anyway. Actors have to be able to deal with the public ridicule and the shame and the Aemond. And I was about to go on a tangent, but then I didn't because I was going to relate it back to Aemond. But then we're going to start talking about Rook's Rest. And then being ashamed. All right, so I'm going to skip over whatever that rant was. But basically, I wonder if Aemond... Remember, he told Sylvie that his brother used to make fun of him. And then also the bastards, the strong bastards used to make fun of him as well. So he was just picked on and bullied. We saw it, right, because we witnessed it. But then also he's relaying, like, that's how he remembers it, too. It's like all these people made fun of him. So when he's training and he's going hard with Cole in the yard and he's besting this dude when he's at a very young age, right? And Cole has all this experience, but Aemond's just a better fighter than he is, right? It's because he's taken all that rage from all those people that picked on him and he channeled it into that. And now he's the most badass of all the stuff that makes you a man in this world, which is like, can you fight? Can you carry yourself, right, in battle? Can you carry yourself in a tourney, which he doesn't compete in tourneys, right? He actually said that. I don't do tourneys, but he could, and he'd probably win, right? And then also he's got the biggest dragon. So where it really counts, he's got the most firepower. So he is the most badass person. And Aegon, even though he was drunk, is still making fun of him. So it's important that the show told us that this is how Aemond sees it. It showed you that he was kind of ready to move on because he mentions, like, yo, I feel bad about killing Lucerys. And she's like, of course. And then Sylvie's like, the only person who gets hurt when princes get mad are the small folk. Me. Do you want to hurt me? You know what I mean? Like, you could see that he's feeling remorse. But then he gets publicly shamed. And he actually says, you can have the whore. Like, he not only did them making fun of him and teasing him and laughing at him make him sort of go back to the Aemond that first called out Lucerys when he came in to say, hey, boy, give me your eye, right? Like, he didn't want his dragon to kill him, but ultimately he owned it, and he's like, yeah, I killed him, right? I killed Lucerys and Arax, and, like, we know that it was an accident. He told Sylvie it was an accident. I can't remember if he mentioned to his mom or not whether it was an accident, but ultimately, publicly, he owned it, right? But it was just a big mistake for Aegon to publicly ridicule him. And then also, like I said, the influence that Sylvie, or like the point that I was getting ready to make, was the influence that Sylvie had over him may be gone because Aegon came in and was like, this whore is so famous, she's so good, my brother's still with her. So that made him feel shame about the last little safe place or whatever that he had, of like talking with the whore, like telling her his not innermost secrets, but like he just kind of using her as a therapist, like just shooting the crap with her, but also being like, we just coupled. I want to pillow talk you, but tell you stuff that I can't tell anyone else, right? That ended, it seemed like, in those moments. But anyway, what I'm getting at here is I wonder if this isn't going to be this exact scene isn't going to be the motivation for Rook's Rest when, according to, I can't remember if I got a DM or it was comments or it was the combination of the scenes being filmed, but basically there's this idea that Aegon and Aemond have a discrepancy, right? So you could kind of already see it in this episode, right? Aegon was initially going to go, and then he gets convinced by Larys to stay. He's like, it's a better idea. Larys doesn't convince him to stay, but it kind of seemed like maybe Alicent put Larys up to that. But Larys basically goes and talks to him, and she's like, yo, look, dude, everybody in the city's saying that your mother wants you to leave so that way she can run the city with Aemond, right? You could already see that the reason why Aegon stayed was because he didn't want Aemond to get that, like, obviously he didn't want his mom to do it, but also with Aemond too, because that's his brother. And I feel like this was a setup for that, where Aemond, so I never explained it, but in Rook's Rest, the idea is that Aegon and Sunfire are burning the fields, right? And then Rhaenys Bailey shows up, and then once she shows up, she sees that it's a trap, right? Sunfire and Aegon are there, and they're burning people that are loyal to Rhaenyra, but also Aemond and Vhagar are there. And instead of joining in the fight, Aemond and Vhagar sort of sit in the back, right? And this was leaks. This is not what's going to happen on the TV show, most likely. Maybe something similar will go down, but you never trust leaks. Take them with a grain of salt, because they can prove to be insanely wrong or just lead you to, like, the scene that we were just talking about. Sorry, I started reading the chat. I got sidetracked. I didn't actually forget what I was saying. I just got sidetracked. But now, I actually did forget what we were just. Just kidding. I'm totally just kidding. What was I about to say? It'll be interesting to see if Aemond doesn't choose to sit out of the fight because he's kind of just sick of being bullied. And he's like, all right, this could be my chance to kind of rid myself of this wild card, right? And maybe Cole kind of has a conversation with him because we've actually seen, I'm about to bring them up right now, we've actually seen leaked images of Kristen Cole and Aemond having a conversation at the Battle of Rook's Rest. So again, I'm going to show you guys leaked images from episode 4. Well, one of them, this is one of them right here. That's not a leaked image. That's from the trailer, right? We'll start with that one. But there's actual leaked images. There's actual leaked images. Oh, my God. I don't know what voice that was, but there's leaked images of Cole and Aemond, and this was when they were filming the Battle for Rook's Rest, and there's definitely, this is confirmed to happen, right? So the part that I was just saying about supposedly Aemond sitting to the side, well, this might be a leaked picture of Aegon. What does Burns look like? This is someone at the Battle of Rook's Rest. This is when, I'm going to leave this image up for a while. This isn't Aegon, I was just saying that, but when the image first came out last year, we were like, yo, is this Aegon? Is this the king? Is this what he's going to look like? Because he gets burned severely badly. And you know what? That kind of looks like what could be the Under Armour of, oh yeah, we didn't talk about it. Aegon's Valyrian steel armor. Aegon the Conqueror's Valyrian steel armor. That was dope. I saw people talking crap about how his armor looked, right? And then in the top comments on Reddit was like, no, it's supposed to look like that because he's an ill king. Dope idea, guys. I don't know if somebody had seen the episode earlier or whatever, but literally that's what it is. That's not his armor. He's wearing Aegon the Conqueror's armor. So I wonder, that's what happens to Aegon's armor in canon, because listen, there's this is so important to me. It's so important too because this is a massive respect to canon. In the second edible that I took, then I was like, this first edible ain't shit, just now kicked in. So it's like a wave of excitement and emotion, and I'm making. To me, it's this exciting. I was about to say I'm hyping this up, but no, it's exciting to me. They paid attention to the point where Targaryens love black armor. Targaryens, no matter their faction, green or black, they have a thing for black armor. And it's mentioned that Rhaenyra dons black plate armor. It's mentioned that Rhaegar, his armor is black plate. It had rubies on it and got shattered when Robert hit it with a hammer. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Oh, man. It's so dope. But anyway, that's why his armor looked like that. And the people who comment, shout out to the people on Reddit who commented that, because I didn't even think to look at that. I just thought, like, oh, his armor is not as broad in the shoulders as Daemon's is. Like, Daemon's armor, I don't want to go get the painting, but Daemon's armor makes him look stacked. And I think there was other comments were saying, oh, it's because Tom Glencarney's short. No, it's literally because Aegon the Conqueror was bigger than Aegon 2, right? That would be, whew. It's only a few kings, right? We just did this. It's like 5 kings down the line, but it's like, no, that's not his armor. So that's cool. But yeah, anyway, the helmet is dope. That's why the helmet looks like that. It's not like they made him a helmet specifically for him with the crown on it, which is what I thought they did. But no, that's Aegon the Conqueror's armor. That's cool, but it's really cool because, like I said, it's mentioned in Fire and Blood. Rhaenyra puts on black plate armor. In the main series, Rhaegar's armor is black plate with red rubies on it. And then also Tyrion mentions when he's, I think it's in A Clash of Kings, but I can't remember where he is. He's either walking through the throne room or just somewhere, but he just remembers in passing that the Targaryens had an armor room, and he had just seen it, and it was filled with black plate armor. So it's really cool that they do stuff like that. But anyway, that could be a picture of Aegon. But I wanted to show you guys pictures of... Oh, wait, I was going to leave that one up, so let me add a new image. Put a new image up here. I want to show you guys pictures of Cole and Aemond, and they're talking, and it kind of seems like Aemond be convinced now that we're combining this with plot details of what we've seen on the TV show, but it kind of seems like Cole might convince Aemond. He might be like, hey, why don't you let your brother take the lead on this one, right? And the main reason being is because Cole might tell, this is the picture right here. These are like, you can tell Cole's crap. Well, it's not a diss. Oh yeah, and that's the one thing I want to say is the reason why you don't like Kristen Cole is because Fabian Frankel's a good actor. That's what that means. I don't know if that needs to be said because I don't think people are that big of idiots, but you do not hate Fabian Frankel. You just don't like the character, which means he's a good actor. It's like the same thing with Joffrey. It's like I made a mistake. I put in my community section on my YouTube page, I said, Joffrey, you got a punchable face, dude. And then people were like, you gotta separate the actors. Like, that post made people think I don't know that. No, I do know that. I've always said that. I've always said that's what makes the character with Cersei specifically so amazing, is that Lena Headey's such an amazing... As a matter of fact, I've said that in the stream. But anyway, this image right here, the one that I've been zooming in and out of because it's fun. Woo, woo, woo. It really is. So this is not actually an image of Tom Glencarney as Aegon, but maybe it is. We don't actually know. It was never confirmed for it to not be, so this could be him. But his burns are probably going to look like something like that. So kind of what happens is he gets burned so badly by Meleys in their fight, in the battle above Rook's Rest. It's not called the battle above Rook's Rest. It's just the battle at Rook's Rest. But he gets burned so badly, the armor melts to his body, infuses to his skin. So he's going to be like Metal King. I don't know what they're going to do on the TV show. It's not very practical for the special effects, but they're probably going to be doing something cool. But anyway, that might be him, but it's probably not. But this right here, this is the big one. This is the one we got to talk about, right? This is dope because this, shout out at UnboxPhD. That's the dude on, I think it's Twitter. I don't know if they still have that username, but it was some photographer in England who went to the filming sites and took all these pictures. We have more pictures of Aemond and stuff. But anyway, this is a picture of Aemond. And I think what may be happening in the scene is Cole could be convincing him, yo, why don't you let your brother take the lead on this field of battle? He's kind of a bit of an a-hole. And if he takes himself out, we do have nothing to worry about. So why not let him do said thing? He could take his... He could take himself out, especially when Melee shows up. So I wonder if Cole's not going to say that exactly, but I wonder if there's not some conversation. There's a goddamn spider. A little tiny one. I don't know if it was poisonous or not, but I just rubbed it into my skin. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I feel like Cole might be like, he might say something along the lines of, we're at war now. Tempers may be flared and heated, but sometimes the best thing to do is to sit back and watch the battle before you join because you're a prince of the blood. And like, it doesn't matter so much if we die. I don't know what he could say something, anything like that. And maybe that's what causes Aemond to sit back. And that's what has initially Meleys and Sunfire locked in combat, obviously with their riders to Aegon and Rhaenys, but they're locked in combat, and then Vhagar shows up, because that's kind of what the book says, is that Vhagar kind of shows up and bum rushes in the battle. Like when Vhagar shows up, Rhaenys is caught off guard, but ultimately still decides to stay in the fight because she leaves a glad crack of the whip. Like, she's already fighting Sunfire is what I'm getting at. In canon, Meleys and Sunfire are already fighting before Vhagar shows up. So there's a reason why Aemond and Vhagar weren't there immediately. What the show could actually do, and they kind of made it seem like they were going to, is that Aemond and Vhagar are staying in the city, right? So with Aegon leaving, maybe the next episode he actually does leave, or they leave together, right? Which is really stupid, because then they'd leave the city abandoned. But maybe Aegon does. We know Aegon's going to lead his troops, but maybe he does end up leaving the next episode, right? And Larys sort of silences those whispers, and then that's why Vhagar and Aemond are late, is because they don't leave until after Aegon and Sunfire have left. I don't know. I feel like I want the leak to be true, so I want to say it'd be cooler if Aemond and Aegon had a falling out. But also, not just what the leaks say, what we saw on the TV show. It looks like they might have a falling out, because literally he laughed at his pecker. He was laughing at He wasn't. It was like the Aegon way of doing it. It's like he was like teasing his brother, but he was also more so saying like, look at me, look how cool I am because I was right. Like that whore is so good. My brother has to come back to her. Like he can't go nobody else, and he's a prince. He has to come back to this pussy. That's how good it is. That's how good this whore is, dude. Like he's like, I'm right. He made it about him. So it was like, you don't know if he's used to that, right? Because like obviously he's the king now. Like Aegon can kind of do whatever he wants, and Aemond has to accept it, right? But you wonder how far those limits are, like how far he'd be willing to sort of push it or whatever. Let's see, how many people we got watching me right now? 73. That's what's up. Shout out to everybody watching me right now. Thank you very much. Please stop like on this video. Like goal is the likes are at 81, but the like goal is gonna be 100. Can we get 100 likes? Sorry, I'm just kind of scanning over the chat to see. Cookie Kirkland says, I love this episode. It sets up what's to come. Next week, we see the dragons go at it. Yep, Rook's Rest. I was so glad Rhaenyra found out. I was so glad Rhaenyra... Dude, I think I might need reading glasses. I was so glad Rhaenyra found out she... Like, it's blurry. She was to be heir to the throne. Now she has to get her hands on that dagger. Wait, what? What episode did you watch, Cookie? Rhaenyra knew she's going to be heir to the throne because she is the queen. Crazy description said, I was surprised that Rhaenyra confronted Alicent. Now she knows she was wrong, but it's too late to back down. Okay, so when you think about the dynamic of that, hang on, let me put this behind the chat real quick because we're talking about Alicent and Rhaenyra. Let me put this over here too. When you talk about the dynamic of their conversations, the dynamics of their conversations, what I mean when I say that, and I don't know if it's the correct word of the correct usage of the word dynamics, but what I mean is like the topics they talked about. What I got from it was that, remember, I've only seen it one time just an hour ago, and at this point I've been talking longer than I had seen it and longer than it was fresh in my head, right? So I remember vaguely I remember the specifics, but I just remember that. What was the question again? I know we were about to talk about Alicent and Rhaenyra, so let's do that. The dynamics of their conversation, yeah. So, the initial reaction, right, of Alicent, I'll just say a complaint about it, right, because I was kind of praising it. I was kind of saying it was pretty good, right. I wasn't saying it was pretty good, but I was saying I don't hate it, right. So a complaint would be like, so at first, Rhaenyra lights the candle and Alicent's looking at her hand, right? She's looking at her hand and she doesn't look up yet, but then once Rhaenyra lights the candle and she sits down, she's like, oh my God, it's Rhaenyra. That reaction was like genuine. That was perfect. I was like, okay, this is going to be an interesting conversation. And then Rhaenyra kind of fumbles a little bit. She's like, oh crap, I'm supposed to, maybe I'm remembering it wrong. I don't know. But I just remember she pulls out the knife, right? And then there's several times where Rhaenyra kind of doesn't know what to say or doesn't know what to do next. She's like, she's like T Grizzly in this song. This is my first time I ain't never kidnapped nobody before. This is my first time doing it. You know what I'm saying? I forget how the lyrics go actually, so that's too much right now. I can't bring in hip hop. We're talking about a song of Ice and Fire, but this is my first time. Well, first of all, let me figure out what song we're talking about. Robbery, part 2. Nope. This is gonna be my first time kidnapping. What is he? Come on, man. I've been getting into British rap. Y'all should check out this song called Murda Side, Murda Side remix. It's by Mazza _ I-20 H and Potter Paper. There's some. It's decent. It's fun. I'll say that it's really fun. I like listening to it. I actually got my son listening to it. But anyway, what is it? I gotta do it. It's gonna bug me. I gotta do it. I'm like Andy from The Office when Pam doesn't let him finish the tune, and he's like singing the address of where they're going. Like they're going on this meeting. Pam's pregnant, and she's like gotta goes on sales calls with Andy because they're the worst salesman of the quarter, and they have to go on sales calls together. Wow, I'm talking about things within things within things. Wow. And he like sings out the address of the room that they're going to, and he's like 8401W, and then Pam just says the number and then cuts him off, and he has to. That's how I feel about this T Grizzly song right now. I gotta remember the lyric. He's like, somebody help me out here. Type in the chat. Y'all know what song I'm talking about. It is. I mean, it's a good song, but it's like his first. Rhaenyra is literally. Whoa, what was that notification? Uh-oh, that was scary. What was that? I gotta figure that out. What was that? There was motion at my front door. Oh. Okay. Sorry about that. But yeah, no, Rhaenyra literally she's like, this is my first time kidnapping. I might have to kidnap somebody. Like, she turned T Grizzly. She was like, I don't know what to do with the knife, the thing. She's like, because, Alicent says, I could scream and they'll hear you. And she's like, yeah, but you'll die first. And Rhaenyra was like, or Rhaenyra says, you'll die first before they get to me, but I'll be tortured and killed. You know what I mean? She's like, I don't want that to happen, so obviously I don't want to kill you, but you know what I mean? It just reminded me of that lyric, T Grizzly song. He has to, he's using a gun, and he's like talking about robbing people. And he's like, this is my first time doing it. He's like, I've never had to kidnap anybody. This might be my first time doing it. I'm nervous about it. And I sing the song every day. Not every day, but I know the lyric. It's just like, come on. It's literally at the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember. So it's not this one. No, this is the new one. Well, she ain't going to take the gun, put it to her, and start blowing. No, it's not that one. That's the newer one. It's part 2. No, it's not part nothing. It's the first one. All right, so I'm sorry. I'm going to have to wrap this for you guys. Nigga looking at me funny. I'm already pissed because I threw too much money, but I ain't tripping. Nigga ain't no dummy. This Mac in that footy, I leave his face ugly. But that bitch at the crib, low-key I'm slipping. That nigga ran up on me tripping. Twice in the air, give me everything. I ain't struggling at all, gave him everything. Hopping with the left, trying to do some homework. I gotta put that boy to rest. I'm just killed. I'm trying to, all you see in my face is death. Wait, what part of the song is it? I can't remember. Oh, right here. Let me get her back and get her contact. They call the kidneys up. It's time to do some contract. I'm going to get them set up by the stripper. Tell her I got 50. I know that I'm going to be with it. This is the part right here. It's interesting to read lyrics to songs because I a lot of the times if I can't remember what the exact word is, I'll just make up a sound or a word that's not even real. Gotta shut his mouth before I talk and spread the rumors. If the word hit the streets that they rob me and they get killed, the police don't want to find me. Oh, it's right here. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. So I was a wrong nigga. What the fuck? Now I gotta kidnap her. This the first nigga. I don't know how kidnaps work. That is it right there. That I'm already demonetized. I already know I am anyway. But that was the part I was trying to say. That's what she was doing. Rhaenyra. She's like pulling out the knife. She's like, oh, this is the first. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how this works. But whatever happens, it's like, but props to that. The whole point of all that was that I thought that was very realistic, right? I know I was supposed to be saying negative things about the scene, but all people online are going to do that enough, right? How many people did we lose watching from that? Sorry about that, y'all. I wonder, is that worse than losing audio or not having audio for the first 6 minutes? Anyway, let's get back to talk about this conversation with Cole and Sir Kristen. Let me know in the chat, and then also if you're watching this afterwards, what you think the conversation, because we know this scene is going to happen. We know that there's going to be a scene between Sir Kristen Cole and Aemond, and it's going to happen in episode 4. And clearly, this is before Rook's Rest has taken place. I say clearly, mainly because Aemond filmed, right? And there's parts of that scene that I'm not going to show in the live stream, obviously, but the video of that was shown online. I showed pictures of it, screenshots from the video in my leaked video, so go watch those. But you can see Aemond fighting, and in that fight scene, or he's not fighting, he's like warming up. He's doing like his morning sword play, his like morning routine, his workout routine. When he's doing that, he doesn't have any burns, any scars. It's like very clearly he hasn't been to battle yet. So I say that this scene is before whatever the events that happen at Rook Rest are, is because Aemond looks like he hasn't gotten scuffed up from war yet. So this conversation, I feel like they've spent a couple, I don't know how long they spent filming it, but it seemed like they were there for a little bit because there's multiple pictures from a few different days, several different angles of them filming this scene. Or like maybe Cole and Aemond will have a bunch of scenes together around this Rook's Rest time, but it looks like a lot of the stuff that happens with Rook's Rest is going to be in episode 4. I know Rafael said it looked like it could be episode 5, but I got to go back and watch the preview for episode 4 for me to say that. I don't think so, but that's mostly because of the leaks. All the leaks have been saying it's episode 4. Let's see how long we've been streaming. An hour and 47 minutes. And we still have like 60 people watching, right? Yep. Alright, that's awesome. Okay, 70 people watching. Okay, so I'm going to go smoke half of a cigarette. Just half of one. So it'll only take me a few minutes. I'll be right back. Please talk amongst yourselves, please. Full-size chat. Full-size chat. Hello, friends. Oh, wow, that doesn't say friends. I'm gonna go smoke. Wait, why doesn't it let me use my emojis? There we go. This is me and my family. I forgot how little my children were in that picture when I made that emoji. They're tiny. Super small. Wait, why is it not sending? Dude, send them. Yes, that's the... Oh, I have too many emojis. Past the limit. I still haven't gone out to smoke yet. Alright, I'm going out to go do that right now. I'm sorry. wouldn't be quiet, so I had to let her. Oh, y'all can't even see her. Come here. Come here. Sit. Sit. Yeah, my best girl's here. Well, my best furry girl. She thinks she's... Sorry, I'm out of breath. I just ran upstairs, smoked a cigarette. But I can still run. 6 miles. I'm sorry. This is for me. I'm hungry. She's very picky. As far as dogs go, I've had dogs my whole life. My last dog, Diesel, he passed away last year. He would eat anything. He'd eat literally anything. She won't eat apples that don't have the skin on them. She's very weird. Sorry, anyway. Good girl, come here. Come here. Don't jump on the floor. Girl, she's so gentle when taking food. Unless it's a fucking bully stick. She will rip into you if you try to come near her. To take that. Sorry for that little break, too, by the way, if you're just joining in. I did it again, guys. I checked. I started comparing myself, and I was like, let me just see how many people does Alt Shift X has. He has 14,000 people watching him. But that's dope, because I have 70 people here watching me that choose me over him. Who? No, I'm just kidding. I can't give you any more. My stomach, I need this. I didn't eat all my dinner. I had to stream. I'm sorry. Have you guys seen Kaysha yet? I don't think I've actually had her in a video or anything, so I haven't done very many videos. I know I'll post pictures of her all the time. She's in my profile picture and stuff, but I just don't know. That's it. Sit down. I just don't know if you guys have seen her yet. Say hi. Here, let me make the camera bigger. Oh, wait. There we go. Say hi, Danny. She said, I can sit. I'm sitting. Y'all see Jamie? That's Jamie fucking Lannister back there. She said, over there? Yeah. That's where you sleep sometimes, bitch. But you're stinking, you need a bath, so that's not going to happen tonight, so let's not say that. The reason why she doesn't come up here for the streams is because she bangs the steps. And when I say she bangs the steps, her feet sound like individual fucking hammers. And they're going to wake the kids up. For sure. They're going to scream. And I'm going to have to hear my wife's mouth. My fiance's wife. My fiance's wife. My fiance is white, but my fiance, I'll have to hear her mouth. And it won't be the... I'm not going to say that. That's extremely disrespectful. Missy W says, I just found out our 3-year-old dog loves avocados last night. He eats it off the spoon. I don't know if this is true or not, but I don't think that dogs can have avocado pits. I think avocado pits are extremely poisonous to dogs. I'm actually a cat person, Corey. I have cats. I've preferred cats my whole life. Danny's just different. She's a different dog. I call her Danny, but her name's Daenerys. She literally only gets called Daenerys when she doesn't fucking listen. We're outside and she's eating goose shit. Oh my God, you guys. She will not stop eating goose shit. Canadian geese are everywhere. And they will just eat and poop. And I just don't like them. Like, they're cool birds, but they will literally run after you for no reason, and they do this stupid... Like, what are you hissing at? First off, you're not a cat. Second off, I was running, minding my own business. I don't even run that fast. I run at like a 10-minute, 30-second pace on average. That's my comfortable zone 2 pace, okay? So... get off my dick, geese. You suck. They suck as a whole. Yeah, they're cool to look at in the baby geese. I love baby geese. They're cool, right? But they just suck. she won't stop eating it. She just will eat it. She acts like it's fucking dog meal or something. Like, or puppy chow is what I meant to say. Dog meal. But yeah. No, I was just, she's just different. Like, I've obviously, I like dogs. But yeah, no, I like, if you're going to say, like, are you a dog person, are you a cat person? I'm a cat person. I'm a cat guy. I love cats. I'm a cat man. Cat man lingo. But this is my partner. This is my best friend. Okay, look, I can't take my cats to exercise with me. And me and Danny have collectively burned like 15,000 calories together. So I bonded with her more over that. No fan. But yeah, let's get back to the topics of the show. Danny, say hi. If you start jumping around and getting excited and doing your loop-de-loops and your zoomies, I'm going to have to take you back downstairs and put you in your room, okay? Oh, man. Sorry, I got to stretch. All right, where were we? Did I talk about the 5 things yet? I got banana on my breath. Man, I was eating that banana like that lady was eating that dick. Oh, yeah, I have 2 things. Bela, the scene with her flying lower than she should have. The rebelliousness. Props to the writers. That is yet another thing that broke canon, but makes sense because it's actually in canon, right? So, okay, Bela, this is Bela's whole thing. Okay, you guys want her whole arc? Okay. During the dance, Bela is 13. Her dragon, Morning, the one that she was riding this episode, the green one, he's got like a bald dome. That's like what I noticed about her dragon. Is like that like stuck out to me. It's like, yeah, it's young, but I think what makes it young is its lack of horns on its head. It's got a bald dome. I don't know. Maybe that's just me or whatever. But it was cute because you don't really see bald dragons like that. Like her dragon's young in the books, and it looks like it's young on the TV show because it's bald. But I could just be reading into things too much. Anyway, so she doesn't actually patrol the Crown Lands. Like, Rhaenyra, no, you better not get in that bed. You stink, and you will rub your ears all over my pillow like you normally do, and I don't want my pillow to smell like nasty. Well, I mean, it's my fault for not bathing you, but you don't like water. She's a Labrador German Shepherd, and she doesn't like water. What? It's crazy. It's crazy. When I spray her with the hose and we're outside, she acts like I'm fucking beating her with a stick. She does not like the water. And you're probably like, oh, the water's cold. It's probably cold. No. I've brought out lukewarm water and tried to dump the water on her, bathe her that way. It doesn't work. So, and it's interesting because my stepmom's a dog groomer. She's been a dog groomer my whole life. So I've washed plenty of dogs. Like literally with Diesel, we would wash him at her thing. Like I literally would go groom him at a professional grooming facility. So I know how to wash dogs. She does not like water. It's crazy. So that's why she stinks. Don't do that again, please. But yeah, so Moon Dancer. I like the way it looks, and I think it looks young, and I think it looks young because it's bald. I could be wrong. So she doesn't patrol the Crown Lands, like I was saying, in the books. And what happens in the books, sir, this is a cat. I don't know what that's from, but I know it sounds familiar and it's funny. Thank you for sharing that. That's funny. That's my dog, though. That's my dog, Daenerys. She scared the shit out of me when we first started walking. She hurt her foot. I think she either stepped on something that got in between her paws or she sprained her leg or something. But she was like limping for like 2 days. And I was like, okay, we're going to have to take her to the vet. And then we didn't. And we didn't take her to the vet because we thought about it. Like, we have experience with taking my cat Anubis, is another black cat. I know you guys probably see the black cat in my profile picture on Facebook and the pictures I share in my story and stuff. But that's a different cat. That's Batman. But there was this other black cat, Anubis. He was like this kitten that I got in 2017, and he ended up dying from like leukemia in 2020 in like October. And we like the last 6 months of his life, we had to take him to the vet. Like, he started getting real sick. He was real sick when we first got him, and they were like, he's tested for feline fib or something like that, and they're like, there's a chance he could get over it because he could have antibodies from his mom that had it's like cat herpes or something, but basically he could have had some sort of virus that his mom gave to him through the milk, and he could just be testing positive for it, and he could just be sick because we got him from these people on Craigslist who had found him in a field, right? Like in the middle of a field somewhere. So the cats were really sick when they first got him. So they gave him shots initially, and then we got him, and he was fine at first, and then he got sick. So we took him to the vet, and the vet was like, yeah, told us a bunch of information, and then 2 years go by. Almost 3 years go by. This cat becomes my best friend, and I lost my best friend, and it was just horrible for we went to the vet a bunch when COVID first happened, and there was all these protocols, and I was like, oh, my cat has COVID. I gave my cat COVID because I had COVID when it first came out in February, and I was like, Danny, get off of the, look at her. Get off of the bed, fool. Danny. No, you can't sit up there. You can sit down on the floor. You stinking, girl. And it's because you don't like water. I'm sorry, but it's your fault. You can't do that. The kids sleep up there. It's not just me not liking the smell, but the kids sleep up there. Anyway, it was just horrible, our experience with the vet, because the vet, should have been honest with us and told us, dude, your cat has leukemia. What we ended up doing for the last 6 months of my cat's life was giving it fucking IV, intravenous fluids in the back of its neck, subcutaneously. So it'd be like this big fucking pouch of water on my cat's neck, and he was not living, right? So the vet should have been honest with us. She just saw how distraught I was, and I was like, you don't understand, I'm a famous YouTuber, and I can use my resources, and I can help this vet. I swear to God, I was saying this, because I was crazy. This was right after Game of Thrones went off. COVID was happening, so Game of Thrones had literally only been off for not even a year yet, and I was like, I have outreach, and I could change, just help me with this cat. And the vet was like, okay, this is what you need to do. And the vet gave me this formula that kept my cat alive for 6 months, but it was just this awful, horrible experience. My girlfriend was pregnant with my son at the time. It was insane, right? And then he died, and all of that was for nothing, and it was awful. So when Danny, a couple months ago, I was limping on her leg, I was like, I don't want to go to the vet again. I'm not doing that again. The vet's going to tell. I just had this thing in my head. I was like, the vet's going to tell me that she needs to get her leg cut off. And I was like, I'm not doing that, because there's no way. She didn't hurt her leg. She didn't jump. She didn't fall. I spend every second with this dog, right? There's nothing happened. It was an accident. And I'm glad I did, because like I said, I waited, and she ended up getting better. We go walk 3 miles a day every other day. So she's good, but it was just scary as hell. And anything with animals is, yeah. Corey says my cats hate everyone. Yes, and that's why they're awesome. That's what makes them awesome. There's this cat, this orange cat that started coming up outside. That just is the biggest lover, dude. He lets my kids who are toddlers pet him. It's crazy. It can't be a stray cat. It's got to be someone's. Definitely has to be someone's cat. Yeah, you stink. Yeah, you're stinking. And it's not just a sweaty dog smell. It's a stinky dog smell. She plays fetch in the woods. And she also shits in the woods. So she shits and then runs through it. And that's my fault. And I'm being a bad pet owner with that. But it's I just feel like I'd be like a bear. If a bear poops in the woods, and I had a pet bear, would I go pick it up? No, I pick up my dog's crap when we're walking outside. But when she poops in the woods, I don't pick it up. And she just so happens to be so excited. Sometimes she poops where she runs at, and that gets embedded into the ground. And she makes this giant trench, and that just gets spread all around. And even the stick that we use to play fetch with smells like poop. So it's she's having fun. Am I going to ruin her fun? No, she loves it. So, and like I said, she hates water. She literally, you would think she was a witch or something. Alice Rivers. Speaking of which, you like that segue, DJ KLY242. He says she is Aemond's bedmate and also has visions of the future. Yes, we've already talked about that. Are you late to the party, my friend? She looks at me like, what are you doing? You know what it is. I'm doing the thing. This is how I make money, baby girl. This is how I make money, baby girl. Baby girl. Baby girl. Sit. Oh, yeah, on spot. Right on spot. She doesn't shake. My old dog Diesel would shake. He did it from when he was a puppy. He just threw his arm out. He'd go. Out of instinct. You didn't even have to give him a treat. He just did it. Right? She does not do that. But she does listen. See? She's sitting. See? No, man, I didn't actually mean that like you're late. I'm just talking junk. I'm in a good mood. Shooting the booze. Shooting the breeze. Yes, and Harrenhal supposedly judges the people who enter it. Okay, so let's talk about Harrenhal. Let's talk about Alice Rivers. I see it. I see you, chat. You guys don't want to talk about my heartbreak with my animals. All right, that's fine. I didn't want to either. I don't know if I have actually said it in a video yet, and I wanted to get it out there. I know I've talked about my cat before, but I know I haven't talked about Danny hurting her foot because that was like a week thing, like a week-long thing, and I wasn't making content when that happened. So Harrenhal, people say it's haunted. Missy W's comment in the chat there, she says, yeah, and Harrenhal supposedly judges the people who enter it. Right? That's like a quote that I think Arya says when she's there, because Arya stays there for a while, and Arya considers herself the ghost in Harrenhal, and a lot of tragic... the bats. That was a shout out to House Lawston. No, off the bed, Danny. All right, hang on. Let me go put her up. She's gonna keep wanting to get up there. She literally is usually asleep right now, and I'm being a butthole and have her like showing off for the camera. I'll be right back. I promise. I'll be right back again. But we're talking about Danelle Lawston in the bats. Put a bunch of bat emojis in the chat so I remember, please. Bat emojis in the chat, please. Come on, Danny. I had to give her some treats. Okay, so thank you for typing those bat emojis in the chat emojis. Oh wait, I was about to hold up. Hey, Aemond, postcard for me right quick, dog. Yeah, there you go. Cold covering my spot too. Y'all know what it is. I'm using them old school white boys, is what I call them. White boys, white papers. 100% THCA, legal. All 50 states. I was about to say all 52 states. What is that? Where does that come from? Where does the idea that 2 extra states exist? Where is that? I don't know, but I've always accidentally said, oh yeah, there's 52 states. And then I think the other 2 states, Hawaii, Alaska. Duh. No. 50 states, dog. It's only 50. There's 50 stars. Speaking of wishes, 4th of July weekend. Happy America's birthday. America, a very nice. But yeah, it's like this, guys. House Lawston. Thank you for putting the bad emojis there, by the way. House Lawston. They kept bats. Their sigil was a bat. It was cool that Daemon ran into them. I think that actually happened, and that wasn't a dream sequence, because he was wearing his armor, and it was right after he landed Caraxes. So as far as the history, just touching back on what Missy W was saying of like Harrenhal judges those who enter it. So Harrenhal itself, I can't tell you every history of every great house that held it, because I would just be repeating myself, because they all die. Like, most of them end in tragedy, right? So out of the first house that holds it, I'm going to go back to the creating of it in a second, but the first house that holds it after Aegon the Conqueror comes over and burns Harren the Black, Maegor the Cruel holds a tournament. Oh, wow, I had to dig deep for that, boy. Woo! That shows you that memory does work, that long-term memories in Spark, because I couldn't remember which king it was. But Maegor holds a tournament for which night? Wait, does he? Someone holds a tournament to hold Harrenhal, and whoever's the strongest wins it. That knight wins the tournament and then dies from their injuries a few days later after never having sat Harrenhal, right? And then you jump all the way to the main of Song of Ice and Fire books. Every single lord that holds Harrenhal comes to some tragic end, right? Even if you're just a Castellan, right? So Tywin Lannister, the most infamous one who held Harrenhal for a good chunk of, well, he holds it for a good chunk of Clash of Kings because he just showed where I'm at right now. I've read the books 20 times, but he shows up and holds it for a while, and he ends up getting killed by his son. And then before that, you have Sir Amory Lorch. He was a Castellan at Harrenhal, and he ends up being literally fed to a bear. Vargo Hoat the Goat, he's a Castellan of Harrenhal, and the Mountain literally feeds him to himself. Vargo Hoat is not someone who's on the TV show, but he is part of the Brave Companions, who are this group of sellswords that are hired by Tywin Lannister to come over to Westeros and help the Lannisters fight against the Starks in the war that happens because Catelyn is a genius, right? And decides to kidnap Tyrion, right? The person who literally helped her son, who's paralyzed because of his brother, she decides to kidnap him and cause the entirety of the war. So Catelyn's a genius, guys. She's real smart. She does do smart things, but that was one of the dumbest things anyone has ever done in anything, in anywhere, ever. She literally caused the whole thing. Ned was down south surrounded by Lannisters. Anyway. So Vargo Hoat is, like I was saying, part of the Brave Companions. He ends up getting killed by the Mountain. The Mountain basically chops off parts of his body and then feeds it to the goat. Because the goat, he starves Vargo Hoat, who's known as the Goat, because he's got this really long, scraggly beard, and it looks like a goat's beard. It's not, I guess, too aesthetically pleasing, right? It's just something he does. But what is cool is that he collects coins from all of the places that he's been, from all the places his sellsword company, the Brave Companions, have been. So anyway, he dies. He was a Castellan of Harrenhal. And then you also have, this one's pretty famous, and his name, for some reason, is literally slipping my head right now. It's pretty embarrassing. I can remember all of that, but I couldn't remember the name of the dude that freaking Jon Snow beheads because he doesn't want to do what he tells him to do, which is basically go to a castle that's like, okay, I've stalled enough. What is his name? Oh my God. Sir Amory Lorch keeps popping in my head, but I know that's because I just talked about Sir Amory Lorch. This is ridiculous. Sir Allardine, that's his buddy. Sir Marin, no, it's not Marin Tran. I got friends. Janis Slint. I've got friends, boy. That's right, friends. He has this conversation with Tyrion, and Tyrion basically sends him to the wall. But Janis Slint at one point was a lord of Harrenhal, right? So King Joffrey makes Janis Slint, who is a member of the City Watch, the Lord Commander of the City Watch, he makes him a lord of Harrenhal after he basically betrays Ned and stabs Ned in the back. So after that instance, he makes his sigil a spear that's thrust through something that's bleeding or something like that. But anyway, Janis Slint gets beheaded by Jon Snow at the wall after being named, Harrenhal, the Lord of Harrenhal. And then currently, right now, In the main of Song of Ice and Fire books, guess who's the freaking Lord of Harrenhal? Littlefinger. Littlefinger refuses to step foot inside Harrenhal because he thinks it's cursed. So there's like, oh yeah, it's cursed. But I am a historian of A Song of Ice and Fire, like the Maesters in A Song of Ice and Fire. When you look at the full history, and we're about to talk about that, it's not that scary. It's not like Missy W was saying, like the idea that Harrenhal judges those who go inside. Or who come inside of it and will like destroy those who are the leaders of it, like become the lord of the castle if they're not chosen. It's the same idea as the Iron Throne cutting those who it thinks aren't worthy. There's obviously no sentienceness about the Iron Throne. The Iron Throne isn't alive. It doesn't have a spirit. The Weirwoods do. The Weirwood trees do in canon anyway. I don't know about the TV show. Well, they do in the TV show because Breanne accessed the Weirwood net, and he very much showed that they were alive. Bloodraven was alive in the tree. So yes, that is a thing. But it's not like there's no actual cursedness to it. It's just unfortunate events, right? So there's also this house Lawston that I was talking about with the bats. They would keep bats at Harrenhal, and supposedly the bats were large enough to carry off small children from the surrounding riverlands and castles and stuff. But that obviously wasn't true. That's just like an old wives' tale. So like Harrenhal itself, let's do this, right? Harrenhal itself is named, right, after Harren the Black. Harren the Black is this dude from the Iron Islands, believe it or not. He's an Ironborn dude, or at least he descends from the Ironborn, from a time when the Ironborn were able to conquer massive swaths of land in Westeros, aside from just the Iron Islands. Because right now, they only have the Iron Islands, and the Iron Islands can't grow crops. They can't really grow wood all that well. Like, the wood that they do grow is used for their ships. So it's kind of similar to Braavos in the situation where, like, people in Braavos, like when Sam is in Braavos, he's dumb because he spends all of his money on buying a really big room, but doesn't think to buy wood because it's insanely cold in Braavos, and wood is insanely expensive because they don't cut down trees in Braavos, so they import all their wood. The reason why they don't cut down the trees in Braavos is because the trees in Braavos act as a wind shield against hurricanes and all the things that come, all the weather that comes off the ocean. Because Braavos is very much an island, and it rains all the time, or it's like right on the coast, right? So, wood is really expensive in Braavos, and that's similar to how wood is a little bit rare. I think the point I'm making is mute at the Iron Islands, but the idea that they're barren is the truth. So what they would have to do is go outward. They would build ships because they had wood for ships, right? That was the point, I guess. They had wood for ships, and that's it. Nothing else, right? No crops wouldn't take root, and I know all about this because I'm a freaking gardener, but they wouldn't take root in the soil because it was too rocky, right? And if George knew a little bit more about gardening than he did when he was writing these books, he'd know you could actually amend the soil. If the trees are growing there, obviously things will grow on the island. You just need to mitigate that. What you would then do is build, so you're telling me Westeros is smart enough to have glass gardens, which are literally greenhouses in the north, right? They have glass gardens in the north. They have greenhouses in the north, but people of the Iron Islands are stupid. They are stupid. They don't read books. So I guess there's some truth to that. But you're telling me they can't build garden boxes and know that, like, rich, fertile soil, they know about that in Westeros. You're telling me they couldn't do something to properly mitigate the soil to do what I've done outside, which is, like, take a bunch of my local things and add it to make like this hodgepodge mix of soil where I take logs and I take a little bit of debris from plants that I've cut up, like clippings from my tomato plants, and I mix it in the soil and I make this black gold soil after a few months of it breaking down. And then when the logs break down, I got this beautiful fungus that spreads over the soil, and I mix it up and I'm like, oh, this is really healthy soil because it's black gold, and anytime I add it to anything, it freaking makes it take off. And then I also have this fermenting pile of leaf mold, which is basically leaf leaves from my gutter that have broken down in the rain over the past year, and I put a little bit of that, and I mix it with a little bit of seaweed and a little bit of kelp, and then I mix it with a little bit of your mom's pussy juice because that's real fertile. And then, I slipped that in there? Yeah, I had to because I'm sounding too much like a gardening nerd. But if George knew anything about amending soil, he would easily say that the Ironborn didn't have to be such dicks. They didn't have to be such coontindies. And I said that instead of C-U-N-T because that'll get you demonetized. And if there's any monetization left on this, and it's not completely gone yet, whatever. But anyway, I just thought that was funny that they knew about all that, but they didn't want to amend the soil to grow the crops, which made them be Ironborn to go out and steal stuff from other people anyway, because their islands don't grow anything. Like, that's clearly why George made the Ironborn the way they were, is because their lands can't sustain them, so they have to steal, much like the Vikings, right? That's the whole idea, is they're inspired by Vikings, but like also they couldn't amend soil that clearly has trees growing because they're building ships with the wood from the trees. Maybe these are some special type of trees that aren't actual trees, but instead large sticks that have no actual foliage on them. Maybe the soil chemistry in Westeros is different than that of soil chemistry of Earth, because it is not on Earth. So anyway, Harrenhal, right? Harren the Black is who built Harrenhal, and he descends from a line of Ironborn dudes who basically came from the Iron Islands into the mainland of Westeros, and this was before Aegon the Conqueror took over Westeros. So this was a free-for-all. You could literally do whatever you wanted to in Westeros at this time, because Aegon wasn't there with his dragons. So Westeros was very much 7 individual kingdoms that were constantly going to war with themselves, right? When that would happen, it was a lot easier to cut out chunks of land for yourselves, right? And that's what the Ironborn did in the Riverlands. And at this time, they were the liege lords of the Riverlands. So what Harren the Black did was take supplies from every area that was near his castle that he decided to build, Harrenhal, and use it to build his castle. So all of the houses, mainly House Tully, the Blackwoods, the Brackens, any of the Riverland houses that had supplies taken from them hated this dude. So the day the castle, this is pretty, like, this is how you know it's a book and a fake story, but it's also good because you're like, oh, it's funny that George thought of this. But it's like the very first day that Harrenhal was finished being built, the very first day that Harren the Black sat his castle, Aegon the freaking Conqueror showed up into Westeros and started making people bend the knee. He didn't show up at Harrenhal yet. He was going to make his way to Harrenhal, but the very first day that Harrenhal was finished being built, Aegon shows up, right? So Harrenhal has a bit of a bloody history, right? Because remember I said that they were taking supplies from the houses near them. What I left out was that they weren't taking supplies willingly. They were forcibly taking these supplies. They were killing and murdering people to take these supplies. So Harrenhal was built in blood, right? You gonna get it back in blood like Pooh Shiesty back in blood, right? Like, that's what it was. So they literally had to not find many reasons to hate Harren the Black. So when Aegon eventually made his way to the Riverlands and he realizes that Harren the Black's not going to bend the knee, he was able to convince a bunch of the River Lords to join up with him and help him destroy Harren the Black. So what ends up happening at Harrenhal, the first crazy tragic event, aside from it literally being built in blood, like Pooh Shiesty back in blood, right? We gonna get it back in blood. You know, we gonna get it back in blood, right? So, like, literally, Harrenhal is built in blood, but the first tragic events that happens there is the reason why it's leaking. Remember, Daemon was moving buckets around for the water that was leaking through the ceiling? At least that was the flashback thing or whatever. But you know how there's massive towers that are just, they're seemingly broken, right? Aegon goes to Harrenhal, and before he does anything, Aegon the Conqueror, not Aegon 2 on the TV show, but Aegon the Conqueror literally goes to Harren the Black, and he's like, look, I'm going to give you the choice that I gave all of these other people. Bend the knee, or you will suck the D, right? And you might think, I mean, dick. No, I mean dragon. He's going to be sucking dragons. Like, he's going to get a mouthful of dragon and sucking in the air because he's sucking on dragon, right? So Harren insulted him, right? And the exact conversation is actually pretty good, and we actually have canonical conversation of it because a maester was there, and he wrote down what was said, right? Basically, Harren the Black was like, look, man, you have dragons, and you can, you can burn whatever, but stone, my castle's made out of stone, bro. I'll see you when I see you. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't bending the knee to nobody. You can suck my nigga. You know what I'm saying? He's like, you can suck my dick. That's funny. I didn't want to say dick, but I say my nigga. Like, clearly, YouTube probably thinks my nigga is more of a cuss word than dick. Anyway, but yeah, so, so yeah, Harren's like, no, I'm gonna stay here, dude. My castle's made of stone. Screw whatever, right? So he stays there. And Aegon's like, all right, bet, bro. I'll see you. I'll see you at nighttime at sundown. I'm gonna end every single person in this castle. I'm gonna end you and every person part of your line. And well, he does that, right? So dusk, or what is dusk is when the sun sets. Dawn is when the sun breaks. That's what I'm. That's what I'm going with because that's what I think sounds good, right? So when the sun set, Aegon, or it could be when the sun rises, it doesn't matter. Aegon basically flew Balerion up so high that no one saw him flying up as high as he went, right? Specifically, people inside Harrenhal, right? They're inside, they can't see Aegon, but they know that he said he was going to be here, and he's not here yet. So they're like, maybe he was just bluffing. Maybe he realized that he can't burn this castle because it's made out of stone, and like obviously no dragon can burn as fire hot enough to burn stone because that just doesn't make any sense. Little did they know, actually there are dragons that can burn stone. They just have to be big enough. Your dragon literally just has to be old enough because dragons never stop growing. They're like lizards, like certain lizards or whatever, like crocodiles or whatever. They never stop growing. I think they grow their whole life or something. I don't know how it works, but yeah, like dragons specifically never stop growing. So once your dragon gets big enough, like Balerion was at the time, Balerion's shadow would cast entire towns, or Balerion's wingspan would cast entire shadows in over towns and stuff. So he was a big boy, right? But Balerion was big enough to melt stone. So, Aegon flew him up really high in the air, and people in Harrenhal didn't see it coming. And then Aegon literally brought him down in the yard and just laid waste, killed like 100 people, a bunch of people inside the castle, wiped out the entirety of Harren the Black, and then went and did Field of Fire, right? So, Field of Fire is not necessarily connected. I mean, it is. It's kind of the Gardener King's like a response to that. But like, so Harrenhal does not have a long history of non-tragic events, right? Like from the beginning, the founding of it was through blood because it was the supplies to actually build the structure of the castle, the actual castle itself, was stolen from people that lived in the land for a long time and had rights and claims to the supplies that Harren the Black just stole from them. So it was built in blood that way. And then the day that it was finished, when it was finally about to be put into use after it was done being built, and it took like a lifetime to be built after it was done because it was so massive. Remember, Daemon says in this episode, this castle is the only place that's big enough to hold my entire garrison, right? It's like, the entire history of this place is just rotten blood. And like, I don't know if it's easy to say that it's cursed because it's just like terrible events keep happening, but also there's terrible events that happen other places too. Like near Harrenhal, the God's Eye, right? There's been the death of like obviously Daemon and Aemond are gonna fight to the death there, but also Aegon and Maegor fought below the God's Eye. The battle below the God's Eye is the fight between Maegor the Cruel and Aegon the Uncrowned. And the battle above the God's Eye is a fight between Daemon and Aemond, and both their dragons die, and both of those dragon riders died there. And then Maegor the Cruel killed Aegon and Quicksilver. So tragic events happen around near Harrenhal. It's just the Riverlands is fought with blood. Like, you saw the Battle of the Burning Mill in this episode. They skipped it, but we saw the aftermath. That thing was bloody as heck. That was in the Riverlands, and that was between two houses that have just done nothing but fought. So you can't say the Riverlands, you can't say Harrenhal's cursed. It's just the Riverlands is just a really poor area to unfortunately be a part of. If you live there or if you're a part of Westeros. I tweeted this like 3 years ago when I was really getting into reading A Song of Ice and Fire. I was like, yo, don't ever live in the Riverlands. They're literally never at peace. But yeah. All right, well, I'm going to take some questions from the chat. We did the Harrenhal chat. We've been streaming for about 2 hours, 36 minutes. We've lost about 20 people from the total that we had so far, so that's a good sign. I think that's fair for me to say. It's a good time to wrap up the podcast. I'm going to scan through the chat real quick and take a couple questions, and then I got to get out of here. I'm going to try to have a breakdown out tomorrow, but if that doesn't happen, it'll be out when it comes out. Not to sound like a dickhead to say it like that, but yeah, I got a life. We got 2 small children. We all have stuff going on. It's currently a drought in my state, so I literally have to water my garden every day. It's a pain because there's a lot of stuff. It's like an hour in the heat, in the sun, and I usually do it after I run. No one cares. All right, so this question is from... Sorry, I'm scrolling back as far as it lets me go. This is in part of a conversation from DJ KLY242, but it wasn't. You weren't talking to me directly. You were like having a chat with somebody else in the chat. And I'm not sure what the first part was, but it looks like you were responding to what I was saying, which was like Daemon being called your grace and stuff, and he's kind of referring to himself as king, because you said, Alicent is called your grace too. Yes, this is true. Alicent is called your grace, but she's the actual queen. I don't know why she's called your grace, because even when... No, she did remarry. So no, that doesn't make sense. Okay, so King Viserys married AnaaaRodarte. That was his first wife. She was the queen when he became king. So it was Queen AnaaaRodarte. She died, giving birth to his son Balon, who died. Balon's the name of his dad. Off-White is the leak. So there was a leak that was sent a while back that said that one of the dragon seeds, it said specifically Hugh Hammer. This was what was sent to me anyway. I know it was posted online too. Or maybe it was posted online. That person saw that it was posted online and then sent it to me, and I just didn't do my diligence and just was like, oh yeah, this person sent me this leak. Anyway, it was like Hugh Hammer was going to be the bastard son of Balon, like Off-White is. And maybe that still might be the case, because that story kind of sounded rehearsed, but also Ulf doesn't have Targaryen hair. He's got gray hair. I thought that was kind of interesting that they did that, because they also are doing that with the other dragon seeds too. They're doing that with Adam of Hull and Alan Oakenfist. They're supposed to have silver. All of the dragon seeds that you see, all of them have Targaryen features. That's what makes them like, oh, okay, that person's a dragon seed. Because like Hugh Hammer, they haven't said it yet on the TV show, but he's an actual dragon seed with dragon seed features. Like he doesn't just have gray hair. He's got a gray beard, but he's got Targaryen hair. According to the leaks, he was the one that was supposed to be the actual son of Balon, but maybe that's just some story that he heard being told. But anyway, getting back on point here, I don't know what they're doing with calling Alicent your grace, but that's definitely the plot they're going for with Daemon, because he like clearly makes a point to correct them multiple times. And in the books, when Daenerys, I keep saying in the books, I could say specifically in the Dance with Dragons, when Barristan Selmy is about to basically usurp the throne from I was about to say Prindon Nagazim. Hizdar Zolorak, basically Hizdar poisoned the locusts and encouraged Dany to try to eat them. So Barristan is convinced that he tried to harm Daenerys. And Daenerys flew away on Drogon. No one knows where she is. So they usurped the crown from Hizdar. And in that conversation, or there's a conversation that Barristan Selmy has, not with Hizdar, but with Resnack Mo Resnack, who's involved in that plot line. And he keeps saying, Your Grace. And Resnack Mo Resnack keeps correcting him. And he's like, please, it's Your Majesty. I just do that in that voice because that's the voice that Rodo Treese goes. But he goes, please, it's Your Majesty. Or His Highness. But he doesn't want him to say Your Grace because that's the Westerosi custom. But he wants them to use the Essosi custom, which is like saying His Majesty or your great, whatever, Your Greatness or whatever. But that just reminded me of like Resnack Mo Resnack correcting Barristan Selmy to say, instead of saying the king, you have to say Essosi customs, so it'd be His Majesty. Instead of saying Your Grace like you're saying, say His Majesty. It just reminded me of Daemon correcting Sir Simon Strong and saying, no, it's not Your Prince, it's Your Grace. Because he wants him to know, like, oh, no, I'm usurping my, he's going to, like, kind of fall into it. Obviously, he's not going to straight up commit treason and be like, oh, no, I'm the prince. But he's, like, falling into old habits. He's playing Daemon. He's doing Daemon things. And those Daemon things are literally, I want the throne. I'm playing the game for the throne because I feel as though I should have been given the throne because I want it, right? But yeah. Thaco XP. This isn't one of the cats, or this isn't one of the last questions that I'm going to answer before I get out of here. But Thaco XP says, does season 2 have cats? My cats are downstairs sleeping in the room with the kids. No. I haven't seen or heard any rumors about any cat scenes. We know Timon was the cat boy on, was he the cat boy on the TV show? But he's the cat boy in the Song of Ice and Fire main series. He has a bunch of cats that hang out with him. After Joffrey dies, Cersei gets him a cat. Or, sorry, Marjorie gets him a cat because she knows that he likes cats. There's a cat of Tommen's that Joffrey kills because he throws it down the well. And then there's cats. This is crazy. There's this scene where is it Sansa? Sansa walks up to Joffrey, and Joffrey's got a new crossbow that Tyrion had given him. Not like on the TV show. So on the TV show, the crossbow reloads itself. It's got a reloading mechanism. But in the books, it's a Mirror's crossbow that throws 3 bolts at a time. And Joffrey is shooting cats. It's not funny. I don't think that's funny. I don't think it's funny to shoot cats, but I think it's the idea of it's hilarious. Joffrey's just shooting cats dead, and they're going, meow, because one of them's like pinned to the floor with the bolt of the thing. And Sansa just walks up and is seeing this, and she's like, what is this? And then also Arya like chases cats. Why am I talking about cat stuff with the thing? Because you asked about cat. Are there going to be any cats in the show this season? Man, I'm tired. Yeah, I don't think so. But there's also Arya is really funny with Arya. She's a little girl, so she's like chasing. Serial Pharrell in the first book has her chasing cats to help her reflexes. She like has to get faster. Basically, she has to. The game is like she's training to become a Bravo, right? Really, there's all these theories about how Serial Pharrell is a secret faceless man, but that's not the information we're given. The information we're given is that he's a faceless man. I'm sorry. That's funny. The information we're given is that he's a Bravo, and he was the number one Bravo in Bravos at a time because he was the Bravo to the Sea Lord of Bravos. What a Bravo is basically a fancy swordsman. A swordsman who, unlike Westerosi knights, they don't need armor. Like, they're so good at swordplay that they don't need armor. A good Westerosi knight would argue, I'm good at swordplay. You still need armor because I'm going to cut you. But the whole point is that the Bravosis are so fast that they'll move out of the way. And Bronn kind of proves that point because Bronn doesn't wear armor and he beats Sir Hugh with a veil. I think that's what happens on the TV show too. He's like, he doesn't wear heavy steel plate armor. He uses like boiled leather and hide and animal hide and stuff, and chainmail over hardened leather. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't use something that's gonna bog him down because he knows that the other guy's using that, so he's ultimately gonna be slower. So all he really has to do is just tire him out. But Arya is trained like she's, her father Ned hires Syrio as like a swordsman to help teach Arya swords, and like I said, he just has her chasing cats. We're just talking about cat stuff here, cat stuff from Song of Ice and Fire. It's really funny because Arya, she's a little girl is what I was saying. Part of her training, picking up the cats, and then once she picks up the cats, she has to bring them to Syrio, and she like thinks to herself, the cats keep scratching me, basically, like. Not verbatim, but it's just funny. Her thought process, like, man, I got all these wounds all over me because these damn cats keep scratching me. And it's like, yeah, because you're picking up stray cats. And you're not just picking them up, you're chasing them. But I think part of the training is she has to learn how to sneak up to the cat. She has to kind of, even though they're strays, she has to get comfortable with them. And the other cats kind of see what she's doing, so they know she's coming, kind of. Like, they know, like, hey, there's this girl that keeps capturing us and taking us somewhere. And then, we don't see the other cat for a while or whatever. So, like, the cats know she's coming, so she has to kind of be cunning and, like, use skills that other people maybe haven't honed and sharpened to do that. And that's what Bravos are. It's like they use other skills where typically people in Westeros, even though Bravos isn't in Westeros, Bravos deals heavily with Westeros because it's kind of really close to it, right? But Bravos kind of specify in a fighting style that doesn't necessarily warrant armor or whatever. I don't know. It's cool. We were just talking about cats. All right, I'm gonna do one more. Lux Nails Miami says, isn't Sam Tarly from Harrenhal? No, Sam is from Hornhill. Hornhill sounds exactly like Harrenhal, but Hornhill is it's in the Westerlands, not the Riverlands. House Tarly are loyal to Randall Tarly in the books is loyal to Mace Tyrell, so I'm assuming I could double check, but I don't feel like it right now. House Tarly is loyal to House Tyrell, and Hornhill is not that close to Harrenhal, but it does sound like it. But no, Hornhill is just this wealthy location in the Westerlands, and it's really close to the Citadel. Not really close, but they have close relations with Old Town and the Citadel. Sam used to love going there as a kid. He actually wanted to become a maester before joining the Night's Watch, and his dad was like, no, Tarly is going to become a book reader. It's really funny. And George knows that it's funny because he knows that people reading his books are book readers, so they know that any kind of slander towards book readers or people who read books is going to be taken extra funny by people reading his books. So he puts all these jokes in there, like Boros can't read, so he has to have his maester read him what Rhaenyra wrote to him because he can't read. Right there's this dude literally known as the Reader, Roddy the Reader. I think he's like the only literally the only Ironborn who reads books, and he's like kind of the only one who starts to question Euron and what Euron claims he did and what he plans to do. And he ends up literally defeating Euron with having read books and know that Euron's kind of full of crap because he calls Euron out on his duty. He's like, yeah, you can't do that. And they call him Roddy to read. They call him a reader as a slander. Like, it's like, you read, you're dumb, right? And that's just really funny to me. But I'm going to get out of here. I want to thank you all so much for watching. We did almost 3 hours. This was 2 hours and 50 minutes. Last week it was 3 hours too. And this episode, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good as last week's episode. Last week's episode was my favorite episode of the series. So the fact that I did almost 3 hours, I think is pretty good. I don't know. Thank you all so much for watching. Sorry the first 7 minutes was no audio, but I'm about to go to sleep. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. And I'm just going to give a shout out to everybody that's in the chat right now. Let's see, participants. Oh, I'm the only one in the chat that's typing. All right, well, shout out to myself. Shout out to everybody that stopped by, my mods, Destiny, Mixed Queen, Phillips 420, Billy Bob dropped by. Shout out, buddy. I know it's hard for you to make these because you're in Scotland and that time difference is crazy. Rafael Luna, shout out, man. I see you been holding it down in the chat a lot too. And then also John Haymaker, Main Bachelor Kush. I'm just reading names that I see have been typing a lot. Ganjapreneur 420, Captain Raider, Erica G, Gel Justice, it's over 9,000, Zion, Cookie Kirkland, Taco XP, Billy Bob, my boy Billy. Yeah, shout out. Don't see Breanne Johnson or the North Must Remember. Pebbles83, shout out Pebbles83. But yeah, and see Breanne or North Must Remember. I'm calling you out, buddy, because you were talking about doing a collab, but you didn't even catch the stream. How you gonna collab with me on these live streams if you're not even watching the live stream, man? Come on, man. I'm just kidding. All right, y'all. Thank you for watching. Along that,